goes there, that goes there. How's everyone doing? How we all feeling? Crust be with me, crust be with you. What's good, gang? Oop, why is there only one of these? There should be two, I thought. Okay, there are two, good. How's everyone doing? Oop, I picked the wrong one. How we all doing? How we all feeling? I hope everybody's ready for the tour. It is on like October 10th, I want to say. Yeah, October 10th, live in New York with Justin and Blitz. It's going to be great. Okay. Yep. We got it. We did it. It's shared on out to the Discord that you all should all be a part of if you're 18 or older. Who are you rooting for in the World Cup? I have literally no idea about anything. I don't know. I don't watch soccer. All right. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I'd also be willing to debate with like a deist, but you need to think that there's a mind that created the universe. I do draw like a hard line at deists. I won't sink below that to like an idealist or some gibberish like that. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest, very first guest even. Hey, how's it going?
Yo, Ian, what's up, my boy?
Yeah, how's it going? How old are
Yo,
you?
bro, you got a big ass fucking head on you, bro.
I
I just
know, I
wanted to
do.
say that, bro. It's fucking
Yeah.
big as shit, bro. You
Yeah,
were
I
like
know.
face,
I know, yeah,
Dream
it's like-
face reveal.
I'm like
You
I'm like
ain't
Charlie
even-
Kirk in
bro.
that way. Yeah.
Yo, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, skin
I'm
tone
like
chicken, bro.
it's
Leave me
like when
alone,
you
man.
it's like I feel like there are cartoons where someone like inflates their head. I'm like that, but like after the inflated head, like yeah, I totally agree with all of that. But
Bro,
yeah,
you know,
do you have-
dream face reveal. Look it up.
oh
it up.
no, I'm
Look at
familiar
the
with that.
YouTube
Yeah,
video.
that's in fact I am Dream, right? It's literally just my face. You know, I was there for
swear
the
to
dream
God, I
face
was
reveal.
just
Yeah.
swiping, bro. That shit is big as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
you got
no,
big
I know
ass
it's
ears
big
on
as
my mama,
fuck.
bro.
Yeah. So do you have
Your
like a
shit ain't even
religion? Do you
fit.
believe in God or?
Bro, I don't even worry about all that, bro.
Oh,
Hey,
okay,
listen,
sure.
bro.
Well, it sounds like you're an agnostic king then. Well, time to go into the next one. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
What's up? Yes, I'm 18 older, and I believe in the God of the Quran. I want to ask you, what is your response to the argument against infinite regress?
I'm not really sure what the argument against infinite regress is.
They say that every event has a cause, and then we can't have an infinite chain of causes.
Sure. Why would I think that we can't have an infinite chain of causes?
So you think that we could have an infinite chain of causes?
Yeah, I'm not sure why we couldn't. I think it's at least an open possibility.
So how would the infinite chain of causes work?
I'm not really sure what that question's asking. Like for every event, it gets produced by a previous event. So before each event is another event. That's how it would work.
So it didn't start from anywhere?
Yeah, that would be correct. If there's an infinite regress, then there's no first moment, because to have an infinite regress into the past is to deny that there is any first moment, because before the first moment, there would be yet another moment. So yeah, there would be no first moment if there's an infinite regress. Do you have some sort of like critique of it?
Yeah, I don't believe that it's logical that we just have a infinite regress.
Is there a
and not-
contradiction?
A contradiction. I said it's not logically coherent, or it's not logically.
Why not?
Because when you say that we have an infinite chain, it's the infinite chain of causes, events, causes, events, causes, events.
Yeah, you keep on saying my position back to me, but I'm not really sure how this is supposed to be a critique. Like I ask you, like, what's the critique of the infinite regress? And you just say, well, you believe in an infinite regress. Like I'm aware that I believe in an infinite regress. What's the critique of that?
I'm about to talk. I was about to tell you.
Yeah,
that you
go for
cut me
it.
off.
Sure, go for it.
If you pick out any event in this chain, how many cause behind it.
It's a category error
Why?
because infinity is not a number. If you want
So
like the
no.
cardinality of the set of causes that come before any given cause is going to be infinite.
Yeah. So you cannot pick out any event in that chain, yes?
You can.
Okay, once you pick out that chain, you cannot find how many events precede it and how many events are after it, yes?
Well, you're asking one of two things. Either you're asking something like, well, what's the cardinality of the set of causes that come before it, in which case that has an answer, the answer is infinite. Or maybe you're asking something like, what's the number of causes that come before it, in which case that's a category error. Infinity isn't a number. So that would just be begging the question against the view.
Okay, so again, there's going to be an infinite every time you
He's
pick
just
out
going to
the
state my
event.
position back to me.
Oh,
How about I ask you a question that's going to make some real progress in this debate? How many things does God know?
So many things, infinite things.
Oh, sure, infinity, yeah. So I mean, if you took out like one of those things, how many things remain?
How the hell does that? How
Let's
does
say
analogous
you
not a thing?
took one of the things that God knows away. How many things would God know?
No, God has infinite knowledge.
Yeah, exactly, right. So same thing when you take an event, there are going to be an infinite an infinite set of events that come before it.
Okay, and after it as well, the same thing.
Yeah,
An infinite event has come after it.
yeah. At least seems like an open possibility.
So, is there a possibility that doesn't happen? That this chain comes to an end?
Maybe I'm agnostic to that.
And what would be the method in this chain coming to an end? Like, how would this come
So,
to
for example, I think that the B theory of time is obviously true, which states that kind of the entire timeline just eternally exists, that past, present, and future is all actual. And in this case, you could have it that there's like this timeline that has like a definite starting point or ending point, but the entire timeline itself is eternal.
Yeah, so, but we have infinite time, basically.
Not really. And that there would be like a finite amount of time, but there's no state of affairs where it doesn't exist. Like each moment just eternally exists.
But you do believe that time is a concept, yes?
Time is a what?
It's a concept.
No, I don't grant that. We
So
have
what's
good
it?
reason to think that time is not a concept, that space-time is like a real thing, because we know that, for example, gravitational waves propagate through space-time. It's not clear how if space-time is just a concept, it's not clear how gravitational waves would be able to propagate through it.
Is it not like when we say how much time did this take? Is that not just a measurement?
Wait, sorry, do you want to actually engage with the example that I just gave you? Like, if space-time is just a concept, if it's just like a measurement, how would you explain the fact that gravitational waves propagate through it?
I can explain it by saying that we have a God and God created time.
Of course,
But
yeah,
you,
sure.
How can you
So,
explain it?
wait,
How can you
sorry,
explain?
what question do you think I asked you?
I heard your question. I responded to your question.
What was the question then?
Yes, the question is how do these gravitational waves come to action? And I tell you that God created
What do they
time for us.
propagate through? Like, how do they
They propagate-
propagate through space-time if space-time is just a concept?
I'm supposed to ask you that.
Yeah, that's why I don't think that space-time is just a concept. I think
it's
that
not
it
a
is like
concept.
real substantive existence, given by the fact that, gravitational waves propagate through it. I'm not sure how gravitational waves would propagate through something if it's just a concept.
Okay, so what is it if it's not a concept? It's a physical thing? Is time a physical thing?
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. What's gonna happen in 3 hours from now?
I don't know.
Is there a possibility that the concept of time ends in 3 hours from now?
The concept, it's possible that the timeline ends 3 hours from now, like epistemically possible.
Yes, perfect. Okay. What would bring an end to the timeline? That's what I've been trying
For
to ask the
example,
whole
like
time.
the wave, okay, so I think the universe reduces to the wave function. The wave function gives rise to the timeline. There could just be a wave function that's no longer defined past like a specific point in time.
Yeah. So what event would bring an end to the timeline?
Yeah, the underlying mathematics of the wave function.
Yeah. So what actual real life event will bring this mathematical end
I don't know
to the
why I would
timeline?
think that it's like an event. I think you're a bit confused on the view. So under this view, what I'd be holding is that the entire timeline is eternal and that it just has like a finishing point. It's not clear that that would need an end, just that it's no longer grounded by the wave function, which is why there just is no point past
You
there.
said it's eternal and it has a finishing point.
Yeah, this is the B theory of time. You would just hold that the entire timeline is eternal, that all of the moments just eternally exist.
And there's a finish point. Is that not a contradiction?
No. Why would it be?
So what do you define something eternal as? I define
Yeah,
it as
I
something
take
with no beginning,
eternal
no
as being something that exists, but there's no state of affairs where it comes into existence after a state of affairs where it didn't exist.
Okay, so has it always existed?
Yeah. The B theory of time
Can-
holds that past, present, and future are all eternal, that every moment is eternal, that they're
So can it
different
stop existing?
times, but they're all existent. Like past, present, and future are all actual.
Yeah, I also believe that actually. Can time stop existing?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think there can be a state of affairs without time.
Okay, so how the hell are we supposed to prove God to you? When you say
That's
so?
your job, bud.
No, like you're going against the most basic of laws
Like what?
to justify your atheist position.
This is, to be clear, this is like the majority opinion among like physicists as to the nature of space-time.
Maybe among atheist physicists.
Sorry, and maybe like the theist physicists just aren't smart enough to hack it. Unfortunately, general relativity states or demonstrates in no uncertain terms that we live in a block universe. You know, there's this four-dimensional
theory.
object, space-time, and for each point in space, there's going to be a corresponding value for all points in time, and vice versa for time and space. So all points in space and all points in time are just eternally actual. I'm sorry that you don't like science. I'm sorry that the science refutes your God. Unfortunately, you know, this is the state of physics.
Science refutes my God.
Yeah. If your God requires for, you know, genuine becoming to take place, if your God requires presentism, then science would robustly refute your God.
My God does not require anything. My God makes things.
Sure.
That's what my God does.
Yeah, sure. So then you would need to make the argument work under the B theory of time.
Right, okay. When I asked you about the infinite regress, I was trying to establish your position on the concept of time itself. You told me
Okay, well,
time is
I'm a
eternal.
substantivalist about time.
Nice. You told me time is eternal, and then you also told me that time is an endpoint. I don't know how that follows, but it's okay.
Oh, I didn't
No
say that
problem.
it does. I said that it's epistemically possible, that the position is consistent to say that time both, like the entire timeline exists, but then there's just like a last point in the timeline. Like, I don't know, have you ever worked with like a video editor? You know, you can have just like an ending to the video clip. The timeline, all the moments are just eternal. There's no like coming into existence. They're different points in time in the same way that when you have the timeline in your video editor, you have different points in the timeline. They're not the same point. It's not the same
Yes.
time, but all of it exists at once.
Okay, is that video clip eternal?
When you have it in like a video timeline,
Yeah, is it eternal?
no, it would only exist for the moments wherein this like video editing software would exist. But I'm saying that the universe or like the timeline is like that. Like the entire block exists.
Okay, so just to establish, you don't grant me that eternal means no beginning, no end.
I'm saying that it means like exists without a beginning or with an end. Yeah, I agree with that.
Without a beginning, or with an end, or without an end.
Yeah, without a beginning or end. And by that I mean like there's no state of affairs where it comes into being after a state of non-being.
Okay, so it's always been there.
Yeah, the entire timeline, yeah.
Okay, so when I asked you, is there a possibility of this timeline ending? You said, yes, there is a possibility.
It depends.
But if
You need to
something eternal-
disambiguate that. If what you're asking there is like, is there a possibility that it goes out of existence? Then no. But if what you're asking there is like, is it possible that there's just like a final moment in time of the timeline? Then yes.
You know, you're doing a concept I like to call, because English is not my first language, this is called verbal twerking. It's when you say like a lot of big words, but they're
What's
not
the big
really
word there?
making sense. You're saying so many words that contradict each other.
Okay.
Endpoint,
There's no contradiction. You're just
Eternal.
confused.
No, I guarantee you, you should listen to yourself speak. You should go back and rewind this life.
Yeah.
I told you, is there any event that can stop time permanently? You said yes. Logically, that means the time is not eternal anymore.
So wait, to be clear, is what you're asking like, is it possible for there to be like a final moment on the timeline, or is what you're asking, is it possible for there to be a state of affairs without time? Because these are two different
State of
questions.
affairs, yes, it's state of affairs where time stops.
No.
Stops existing.
Nope, I don't think so.
So what did you say yes to? What did you say the end point was?
Yeah, that there, if you laid out the entire timeline, there could be a final point in the entire timeline, but the entire timeline is eternal. It always exists, but it exists as a block. The entire timeline is eternal.
Okay. So you don't see the problem here when you say the timeline and when we say time is eternal. Timeline means that you cannot put an end point or a start point. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
No. Wait, okay, first of all, that's a blunder. Because if you're saying that there's no start point to time, then that means that you agree to the infinite regress. You
that's your
unfortunately
paradigm.
just conceded.
It's your paradigm, not mine. It's
Oh,
your
okay.
belief.
Sure.
'cause
So
I
when I
believe
say
time
that time
between-
is eternal, I'm stating that there's no state of affairs wherein it doesn't exist.
Right. Okay. It's been nice. I'll see you. Bye.
Okay. This is why reading up on philosophy of time is important. You know, it allows you to make coherent critiques of positions. That guy that we just talked to should read up on some more philosophy of time, I think. All right, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. Bare minimum, I ask that you be a deist. If you're not a deist, or any of the other ones, don't request to join.
To listen.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo, hello.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Yep, sure. What religion?
I'm Christian.
Yeah, what makes you think that God exists?
Okay, so you are like a scientist, right? You live
No.
by science, right?
No.
No, what do you?
I'm,
no,
well, I'm not
what?
like a scientist.
Not a scientist, but that's what you believe, right?
I think that science is like a reliable methodology, yeah.
Okay, so would you believe in like something like the Big Bang?
Yeah, the Big Bang happened. We have like tons of evidence.
Okay, so I just want to talk about that real quick because you said, okay, so the Big Bang was like a little dot swirling in space, right? And
Mm,
it exploded and made all the planets, right?
not quite. So the first part of that seems to be like referring to like some singularity. So what the Big Bang actually states is that the universe is in a hot, dense state, and then it rapidly expands. And in this process of rapid expansion, there's transfers of energy amongst various particle fields, which gives rise to things like various particles. And then that, of course, comes together with gravity via the geometry of space-time to form things like planets.
Okay, well, okay, so what you just said there, if gravity is part of it, how is there any gravity in space?
Sorry, what? If gravity is part of what?
You said gravity is part of it.
There, you know,
But in
there is
space,
gravity in
there's
space, right? That's how satellites
planets.
work. In fact, you know, so okay, let me demonstrate this point. When we're sending things out into space, and they're making like a long journey, one of the things that they'll do to travel long distances and conserve their fuel is they will catapult themselves with the gravity of various planets. That they'll enter into a planet, like they'll, I don't know, fly by a planet's like gravitational field, such that they're close enough to get like a little boost. You know, there is gravity in space. Oop, okay, he's gone. All right. Hey, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. I'm also willing to talk to like a deist, but at bare minimum, you need to think that there's like a mind that created the universe. If you don't believe that, then don't request to join. Let's see. Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Yep. How old are you?
So, 18.
And what religion?
Christian.
Yeah. What makes you think God exists?
Well, everybody has said the universe and everything we know has come from nothing.
Oh, that's not true.
Like where did everything come from?
So I don't know why I would think that there's like a point where they came into being. I'm not sure why I wouldn't think that the universe didn't just always exist.
But if it always existed, then how is it still expanding? What is it expanding like from? Everyone
Yeah.
says the universe is still expanding, but it had to have a force like act upon it if it's going outwards.
Yeah, that's a
It
great
had to come from
question.
one single point.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the thing that's driving the expansion of space-time is called dark energy. We know that the force of dark energy, that the acceleration of it over time is decreasing. It's very likely, in fact, that in the future, the universe is going to undergo a big crunch, and then it's going to compress back down into a small point when the force of gravity overtakes the force of dark energy. Gravity will start to reel everything back into this hot, dense state, at which point it could undergo these like energetic quantum processes that could give rise to more energy transfers to dark energy fields, leading to the rapid expansion of the universe again. So the universe could rapidly expand and rapidly contract and just be infinitely doing that.
It's like a wave, but
Kind of.
I need solid proof that why you believe that God isn't real.
Sure. I think that all the models of God are pretty incompatible with, I don't know. It just seems like there's like really good contradictions to every model. Let me put it like this. Either God's act of creation always existed or it began to exist. If God's act of creation always existed, then creation would always exist. But if God's act of creation began to exist, then God would change from not creating to creating. So on the one hand, we have just eternal creation, which means that God never actually creates it. It's a bit of a problem. But then on the other hand, we have a God that's in time, which means that God can't be the creator of time. So he's not the ultimate being. It just kind of seems like no matter how you slice it, you can't get a God that actually created.
So you said, I'm going to need you to say that again. Like you were talking about creation and how it would be still creating, like as in continuing to
Do you think
create.
that God was always creating, or do you think he began to create at some point?
He began to create at some point.
Yeah, then God changes, which means that he would be in time. He goes from not creating and then he changes and begins creating. So if you change, that places you in time. If you're in time, you can't be the creator of time. So we just have good reason to think that God didn't create.
Okay, so what you're saying is if God created everything, he would not be God because he does not control time.
I'm saying that God can't create everything.
You're saying he can't?
Yeah.
What can't he create besides, wait, no. You're saying he can't create everything not being time.
He can't create time. And because he can't create time, that means he also can't create space because of space-time. And then that probably also means that he can't create like the quantum fields. And that just kind of is the universe, like space-time, the quantum fields, and the energy exchanges within them.
But
that just
how
is
can
the
he not
universe.
create time if objects are able to manipulate time? Like black holes, they're able to manipulate time.
That's a great question.
So what's making you think he's not able to?
Yeah, because he would be within time. If he changes, then he's in time. If he's in time,
What
he
if-
didn't make it.
So to make something is to create it. And if you have nothing to create it, that something you're going to be using to create it comes from you.
And what I'm saying is
Meaning,
that God couldn't
He
have
is
done
not
that.
controlling it. He is everything and
Oh,
that ever is and that ever was.
you're saying God just is everything?
He is not. I'm not meaning literally. I'm meaning
Oh,
metaphorically.
okay.
Time relies on him. He is our only concept of time.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, first of all, I think that's like obvious gibberish. We have like lots of concepts of time
The only
even
concept
before
of time
God,
is
but
for something to begin.
no, that's not true. So I take time to be something like the dimension along which change is possible within objects. So if you're saying God is within time, then that means that he couldn't have been the creator of it because, you know, in order to create it, he would need to be outside of it since it didn't exist yet.
Time is the. How would you measure time if
With a
it
clock?
never had a beginning?
With a clock, you can measure between 2 points.
But how do we know what is like? We need. If you're like. If you have a clock and you set it back, it's like different. It could be its own time. It's like a stopwatch. But if
I have
what
no
you're
clue what
saying-
you're talking about.
okay, I got to put it in different like words. You're talking about how he isn't the creator because he didn't create something, or something was before him. Is what you're getting at.
If God creates time, then wouldn't time need to not exist and then begin to exist?
Well, what's making you say that time has always existed?
Wait, sorry.
And what's
can you-
us not saying
wait,
God has not
before
always
we
existed?
before we
Like,
move past that, can we just get like the quick acknowledgement? Like, would you agree that in order for time to be brought into existence, there would need to be some state where it doesn't exist?
yes.
Yeah, sure. So if God's in this state where time doesn't exist, then God is timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if God changes, then God's in time. So we would have this timeless God that's in time.
There are some forces in the universe that don't like obey like time. They're able to change it. They're able to manipulate it, and like
So
we still don't know what
are
happens.
you asking like
when-
what the explanation for that is?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
something gets sucked into a black hole. Does it just like what happens? It like gets crushed, right?
Yeah, something like that. I bet there are like lots of interesting things that happen within a black hole. I mean, I agree we don't know everything, but what we do know is that contradictions are impossible and that God's existence would be a contradiction. And I mean, also, general relativity explains why things move slower when they're traveling at fast speeds or when they have like a ton of mass, like why they experience less time. And it has to do with the bending and distorting of space-time.
But also like time is always gonna be there. It's always not gonna like change. It's always gonna run its path. But you using the argument of time is like really difficult to fight against.
I
Not because
agree.
it's like wrong, it's because it's like it's obvious it's always there.
Yeah, that means
Everything's-
that God doesn't create it if it's always there.
But what created it?
It always existed. That's like catastrophic for a God concept if you think that God's the creator of time.
Do you have any other like arguments besides time?
Yeah. I look to the world around me and I have, okay, you tell me that God is all good, all powerful, all knowing. So that creates within me like expectations. You know, what would I expect to see from a world governed by a being that's all good, all powerful, all knowing? You know, for like a little analogy, let's say you and I were traveling to a kingdom and we hear that the king is like good and he's wise and he's powerful. But, you know, we see the bodies of men, women, and children hanging on lampposts. You know, they've been killed as soon as we enter the kingdom. Well, I mean, maybe he doesn't know about it, but then he's not as wise as we once thought. Or maybe he does know about it, but he can't stop it, in which case he's not as powerful as we once thought. Or maybe he does know about it and he can stop it and he just chooses not to. And in which case I would come away with the assumption that he's just not a very good guy. So regardless, I'd come to the conclusion that whoever is in charge of this kingdom isn't possibly all good, all powerful, and all just. And similarly, I look to the world around me, I see things like cancer, malaria, earthquakes, you know, even things that come from like free will, things like people getting raped to death. Like these are horrible things. I wouldn't expect to see any of this, frankly, if God existed and he's all good, all powerful, and all knowing.
God's most powerful angel was Satan, right? And he could have gotten rid of Satan. But without Satan, there's nothing for the humans on earth to fear. There's no reason, because the world would be perfect without Satan. There's no reason for an afterlife, an eternal life afterwards. People could do what they want. So what Satan is he is evil. He is the force that is keeping everybody in check. And it's not God's will for everybody to do that. It's the will of like people. It's the will of Satan, right? Now people could choose. People are choosing their path. It is not God's will for them to do that. But it is everybody else's will to look and perceive things how they do. And
sorry,
people
go for it.
expecting something from like someone to just give it to them and not earn it is terrible.
Is there anything more desirable than perfection?
Honesty.
Wouldn't honesty be included in perfection?
It depends on how you look at perfection. You
Yeah.
could be perfectly you could be the perfect evil person. You could be a perfect
So
good person.
I take perfect to mean something like maximum in value, that it couldn't possibly be improved upon. I think like a perfectly evil person wouldn't be absolutely perfect because they could be improved upon by being not evil. So the question again is just, do you think that there's anything more desirable than perfection?
Well, yeah.
Like what?
Respecting people around me. I mean,
That's
if you
included in
are
perfection.
If you are perfect, then you got to bring the argument of which kind of perfection. Like you're talking about perfectly good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better.
Yeah, sure. So then you would agree that like if you have a choice about what thing to bring about, the best thing to bring about is a perfect thing.
Well, that perfect thing is Jesus.
Mhm. Sure. But would you agree that like bringing about the perfect thing is the best thing to do? That it would be an imperfect thing to bring about an imperfect thing?
Yeah, it would be the best thing to do. The last time we brought a perfect thing, someone who was perfect, people crucified him.
Okay. I guess maybe the argument that I should make runs like this. So if you agree that it's imperfect to bring about imperfect things, and God is perfect and then brings something about, then the thing that God brings about must also be perfect. And if that thing brings about something, then that thing also must be perfect. So the world must still just be perfect if it's imperfect to bring about imperfections and God brings something about.
It is not imperfect. It is
So it's
it is
perfect.
tainted. It's tainted by evil. It's
Wait, so
like Satan.
I might be a
Evil
bit confused.
is-
I thought you just said that it's not imperfect, so it would be perfect.
No, I meant it's not perfect.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, there's evil everywhere. It's like you go to school and your parents can teach you one thing, like how to do problems and stuff, but you're always going to be open to being taught how to solve problems easier. You're open to like people telling you things, people manipulating you. So your argument was, can you repeat your argument?
Yeah. Maybe
After
it
you're
would go
done.
something like this. Bringing about imperfections is an imperfection. God is perfect. God brought something about. Therefore, I guess it would just follow from this to me that God brought about a perfect thing.
God brought about perfect, but it was tainted by evil.
Okay. And did God bring about the thing that tainted it?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah, sure. So was the thing that tainted
The
it,
thing that
was that
God-
thing perfect that God brought about, or did God bring about an imperfect thing?
He was perfect once,
Sure. Okay.
but his perfect lifestyle is what brought him to his downfall.
Okay, sure. So he brought about imperfection. He was perfect and he brought about imperfection.
Yes.
Okay, is bringing about imperfection an imperfection?
Yeah.
Yeah, then he
bringing
wouldn't have been
about-
perfect.
It wasn't God who brought about imperfection.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that it seems like we have like a chain, right? We have like a regress of perfection that if you have one thing and it brings about something else, then that thing must also be perfect. And if the second thing brings about something because it's perfect, then the third thing must be perfect. It just seems like there must be, insofar as anything creates anything, all these things must just be perfect.
Well, when you have an open mind and you think you're perfect, that brings about the first sin. That's the sin of pride.
Wait, but didn't God make Satan perfect? So
Yes, he
wouldn't it
did.
be correct for Satan to think that he's perfect if God made him perfect?
Yeah, he would think he's perfect, but that's where if you're perfect, you're also humble.
Does God
But-
think that he's perfect?
No.
God doesn't. Okay, then God's not all-knowing.
God does not need to think he's perfect.
If God doesn't know that he himself is perfect, then he's not
No,
all-knowing.
he knows he's aware, but perfection does not. I need to find a way to word this. It's well, of course he is perfect. He is the creator. But him knowing he's perfect does not stop Satan from choosing sin. There's nothing stopping him.
Okay, sure, but it's not clear. It's not clear how a perfect being becomes an imperfect being, because in order to make that transition, you would just need to be imperfect.
No.
But bringing about imperfections is an imperfection. So if you're a perfect being and
there
you bring
was-
about imperfections, then you're not a perfect being. There
Um,
can't be a perfect being
God
that
was a
brings about
perfect being.
imperfect beings.
It's not God who wasn't.
Okay.
God brought about a
I don't
perfect
think I
being,
said that.
but he wasn't. He was a being. He wasn't like an object. He could think for himself,
Yeah. No, I understand that. But if
which means
Satan
he
is a
can.
perfect being, then this perfect being will only do perfect things. That's what it means to be perfect.
That's where thinking for yourself comes into play. You're thinking of just one thing was brought about.
Was
It has
Satan
to play out in
perfect in
that line.
his decision-making process?
No,
Then he's not perfect.
he was for a while, but it's again he changed it. You can change your mind at any point.
I don't think that
Perfection
makes
does not
sense when you're
mean
talking
that
about a
you're
perfect being.
Perfection does not mean that your choices do not apply to actions.
What it would mean is that you make perfect choices.
That's where the first sin came into play. Just because he was made perfect, it's like you leave an apple out too long, it's gonna start to rot, right?
Well, that's because the apple decays. It's imperfect. Having the ability
Yeah.
to decay is an imperfection. Like, this is my exact point, right? Like, okay, maybe here's a better question. Do you think that God has free will?
What's stopping him from that?
I'm just asking you, do you think God has free will?
Yeah.
Okay, must God do the good thing? Or is it possible that God doesn't do the good thing?
He does what he knows will serve.
Will
Well,
he
yes.
necessarily do the good thing?
Yeah.
So it's not possible that he does the evil thing.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Would you agree that in order to have free will, it needs to be possible for you to do the evil thing? If God has the free will to choose evil, then it would be possible for him to do the evil thing.
It would also be possible for him to choose the right thing.
Okay, so then we have a contradiction here. It's both
No,
possible
it's-
and impossible for God to do evil.
You're thinking of them like an object. They were not an object. They are real, and they are beings, sentient
Okay, let
beings.
me-
They can think. They think like you. They talk like you. Not
Let me
talk
just
like you.
formalize
They speak a
this.
different language.
Okay, so the conclusion, it is possible and impossible for God to do evil. Okay, so God has
No,
free
it
will.
is possible for him to do evil. He just won't ever do it
Free will.
because he's the all-knowing.
If God has free will, then it is possible for him to do evil. God is all good. If God is all good, then he always, then he never does evil. If God never does evil, then it's not possible for God to do evil. Therefore, it would be both possible and impossible for God to do evil.
What
So-
you're trying to describe it as is a chart that plays out in a certain line. It is not a chart that plays out in a certain line. It is its own way. You can choose any path you want. It's like a maze. You're not set in a straight line. Just because it's not like what he wanted doesn't mean he can't do that thing. He doesn't want to create evil, but doesn't mean he's not able to.
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you? I just need you to tell me like which one of these things on the screen is wrong, because the conclusion follows. You would need to reject either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Otherwise, you need to accept the conclusion that's highlighted.
C.
So, yeah, that's the conclusion.
sure?
You need to reject one of the things that lead up to it. To read them again.
Let me read them out.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
read 'em.
Yeah, go for
God
it.
has free will. If God has free will, then it is possible for him to do evil. But is also God is all good. If God is all good, then he never does evil. If God never does evil, then it's not possible for God to do evil. That's where you're wrong. If God never does evil, it is still possible for him to do evil.
Yeah,
He just never does it. It's
yeah,
just like
sure.
it's just like how vegans, they have the ability to eat meat. Just because they don't eat meat doesn't mean they're not able to eat meat.
I would say that if somebody is vegan for their entire life, such that they never eat meat, I would say that there's no possible world wherein they eat meat. Like that would just follow.
But they can.
Not if you've stipulated by their very essence
See,
that they're not
that's
going to do
where
it.
you're wrong.
If you have like this necessary being.
You're going in a line. You're trying
I
to
agree. I'm
prove
going in a
the
line. I'm very
point
linear.
without like branching off into different like realities and like ideas.
So
They can eat meat. Nothing's stopping them from eating meat. Just because they went their whole life without eating meat doesn't mean it's not possible.
So, is there a possible world where the vegan eats meat?
Yes.
Is there a possible world where God does evil?
Yeah. He can do evil.
Sure. In the possible world where God does evil, is God still all good?
Yes, because for God to do evil,
Okay.
he must know what's right.
Gotcha. So God does evil and he's all good. Okay, I take that as a reductio. If you think that the all good God can do evil.
Depends on what you call evil. All right,
Just
so
something
you
that's at
have an
odds with it?
infestation. You have an infestation of bugs.
Okay.
What do you do?
Call the exterminator, something like that.
Yeah. Is that evil? Would that be evil? Depending on, for you, it would not be evil because that's what needs to be done.
Okay.
But for like someone who advocates for bugs, that is the evil thing.
I don't know. It's going to super depend on the circumstance as to whether or not that's evil.
Yes.
Typically,
See?
I think that's totally fine. But like, let's say the bugs are like some rare endangered species of bugs. Then in a circumstance like that, maybe I think that
Then
that's
we're not talking
fine.
about some rare extinct
Oh,
species of bugs.
well then, yeah, I think that you can kill the bugs. I think that's fine. Also, maybe you think that
What if the
morality is
bugs-
subjective.
what if
I
with
think
the-
morals are objective. So
what
I,
if the
I
bugs
reject
were like
this.
destroying your house?
Yeah, of course
but
you can
some
kill
of
them.
them, some
you can,
of them
you can
weren't
kill them
destroying your
even
house?
if they're not destroying your house. To be clear, I mean bugs
What if
lack
they were
like
like
the
good
requisite.
bugs?
Like
These
what?
bugs would separate into groups. Some
Like
of them
what?
good, some of them evil. Some would kill other bugs. Some would destroy parts of your house.
Yeah, I
and
think
they
you
would
can
ruin
kill.
the house that you spent so long to build.
I
What
think you
are
can
gonna
have like
do?
the most helpful, productive bug in the world.
Are you
and
gonna kill all the
exterminate
bugs,
that
though?
bug because I assign basically zero moral worth to bugs.
Boom. That just proves my point.
How?
The bugs I'm talking about people. Just because
Well,
we
I think people
separate
has moral
different
value.
groups in the world, we're destroying the world. There's people who kill people and like post videos of it online. But you're
Mhm.
saying if those were the bugs, we should kill everybody.
To be
Everybody
clear,
should be
I
dead
think
to
even
get rid of all the
people-
evil.
I think even people who have like, I think everyone has moral value, even people that I would think are deserving of death. Like even somebody who I would think deserves the death penalty, this person still has moral value. It's not something that you can do willy-nilly, which is why it would only be under like extreme circumstances. So that's kind of the difference between humans and bugs, is that bugs are not morally significant, whereas humans are.
Could you forgive someone who did like something like really evil?
Depends.
It depends.
Yeah, it super
Um,
depends.
like,
Probably
what's
not,
something
but
you think
depends.
is evil. See,
I don't know. Like, let's say somebody like raped my friend. No, I don't think I'd forgive that person, even if they apologize,
cannot-
even if they changed
you
as a
cannot
person. I don't
argue
think I'd
about
forgive that
being
person.
you cannot argue about being perfect if you stand alone as someone who is imperfect.
Wait, sorry, what?
You cannot argue about being perfect if you
It's
stand
not a
alone.
question about being perfect. It's a question about being unforgivable.
But you stand alone to have different morals than someone who is perfect.
So
if
you're a
you were
moral
perfect, you would have,
subjectivist.
if you were perfect, you would have not morals. That's a bad way to word it. But if you had like a different thought process than like someone who is perfect, you do not understand their reasoning for behind their actions.
Maybe. I'm not sure how that's relevant.
You got to look into it deeper. Like, is that person who did
wait,
evil?
sorry, wait, how is this relevant
Is
in any
that
way, shape,
person
or
who,
form to the
like-
debate? This is just a yap session.
Yeah, but it'll be all right. Like, I'm trying to get to the point where it's like I'm trying to get you to realize that to be perfect does not mean you cannot do evil. It just means
Would you
choose
still
not
be
to.
perfect if you did evil?
Yeah,
Isn't doing evil an imperfection?
it depends.
On what?
Depends on where
Under
you
what
look at it.
circumstances does
It
it
could
become an
be evil.
imperfection?
It could be evil. Different people can like view something as
I'm asking about objectively, like in objective reality. I know people can disagree about whether something's evil. I'm not asking what people think. I'm asking like what's true in reality. Can it be
What's
true in
true in reality?
reality that a perfect being does evil?
yes. You've got to understand that.
Okay.
For us, it's
That's like
gonna be evil.
gibberish.
No, okay. For a perfect being to do evil is not evil by their standards. It's evil by someone who believes that is evil.
Okay,
That's
you
the
need
only
to
way
like
you can-
listen to me because I literally just clarified this. I'm not asking about, evil in our opinion. I'm asking about like evil in reality. Like, can a perfect being do something that's evil in actuality?
No.
Yeah.
Every action they make.
Can
is
God
gonna-
do something that's evil in actuality?
No.
Then he doesn't have free will.
No, he has free will, but we cannot judge him. We're
I'm not
able
saying
to.
that we can judge him or not judge him. Just that if God has free will, then that means that he can do evil.
He can like kill anybody he wants. He can like destroy
Yeah.
the world.
And if
But-
God killed anyone he wanted and destroyed the world, would God still be perfect?
No.
Yeah. So then you
Just
would have to
because
say
you're
like God
perfect.
isn't essentially
No,
perfect.
just because you're perfect doesn't mean you can't get rid of your imperfection.
Would God still
just because
exist if he did that, or would that be a contradiction?
Yeah, you would.
Okay, so you wouldn't think that that's at that point, wouldn't God be imperfect?
No, he wouldn't, because if he killed everything and destroyed everyone.
Okay, you keep on like flipping your answer. Listen, bud, it's been fun. I'm moving on to the next one. Relax with Russell ASMR. Thanks so much for the super chat. Is an infinite chain of bad arguments possible? Apparently. Kane Malice, thanks so much for the super chat. So humans are living aspects of the infinite. I think so. I think they actually might believe that. An honest doubter, thanks so much for the super chat. Do you agree that the map is not the territory? It depends on what. Wooden, thanks so much for the super chat. A big girthy English pound for Greg. Appreciate you. Thanks so much for becoming a cool quarry. That's pretty cool. Jessica Transmetal Alchemist, thanks so much for the super chat. Ah, yes, the ultimate unstoppable argument that always destroys atheism forever. It's obvious. When do we start booking our baptisms? True. Larry Beck, thanks so much for the $100 super chat. $100 super chat. That's incredible. I really appreciate that. That is very meaningful to me. That allows me to do more than you could ever imagine. I don't know. I have lots of things that I'd like to improve about the stream, from my desk setup to upgrading my PC so I can have better content. To, I now have an editor. I really appreciate it. Having huge super chats like that is like seriously helpful for me. Thank you so much, Larry. Let's get a big W for Larry. Huge W. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. I'm sorry, what motherfucker is more prideful than your God? True. Jessica, Transmetal Alchemist, thanks so much for the super chat. God both knows that he's perfect, but simultaneously doesn't believe that he's perfect. Geez, so even God suffers from imposter syndrome. Apparently. And that's not an imperfection. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. Is Guest just arguing the general territorial dispute between species? I don't know. Literally Lou, thanks so much for the super chat. You look wonderful in blue. Also appreciate you. I appreciate you, Blue. Or fuck, Lou. Damn. Well, that's too bad. I appreciate you, Lou. Thanks so much. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. I try to go in order around here. So the next person up, we got this person. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Yeah, how you doing? How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yep. What religion?
No religion, but I am a deist.
Okay, what makes you think God exists?
Well, okay, so based off observations, it's pretty much just like a fine-tuning argument.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I have a question for you though. It's like when you hear someone say something that's completely illogical, do you have like a reason for why you think that is, like every time, or do you think it's always something different?
Typically if I thought that something is illogical, if somebody says something and I have like a knee-jerk reaction to it, but I can't identify like what the actual illogical thing that they're committing themselves to is, then I might reevaluate whether or not my intuition on this matter is accurate. But okay, if you're a deist, then it's not clear why we would even expect fine-tuning. Unless you posit that God's an all-good being, it's not clear that we even have like the prediction that life would exist at all.
No, are you familiar with Gnostic Christians?
Sure.
What they believe in? That's kind of like where logic leads me. It's a good answer to like the answer to the pain and suffering and all that. Like we are a fallen world that was created by a lesser God, and kind of where I'm at right now.
Why would the lesser God created
this world?
Yeah, why? Why would they?
I mean, I don't know, but like we can like try to guess, like for entertainment, like we're the Sims, for pride, for glory, for worship.
Yeah, this is important, right? We're not just guessing for entertainment or like to like waste time or something like that. The reason why it's important to your argument is that in order for the fine-tuning to actually be evidence towards your hypothesis would need to predict it. If your hypothesis that God exists doesn't predict that he would create a universe unless you have like a reason to think that God existing would then go and create a universe.
Okay, well,
I
so
just
let
don't
me-
know why I would expect fine tuning.
Let me. I'll get to the fine tuning, but let me posit this real quick. As I asked, is there? Let me. This might be a wrong theory, but this is where I'm at. I think logic, can answer anything, and I think dialogue is through logic, dialogos. Talking to each other, in a good faith argument, we can get through any kind of mystery, and we can solve that. And the only thing that weighs us down is like an ancient flaw that humans, I think, have, which is to offload our logic to an authority. Christians do it all the time, but so do secularists, and so that's just where I'm at. So, in terms of the fine tuning, let me ask you a question. Regardless of how far away the sun and the moon are, when you look up in the sky, how much space do they take up? Which one is bigger?
I have no idea.
So I took a picture of the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time. My phone was on the exact same zoom.
I think
And they-
doesn't the moon, sometimes the moon is like really big.
So this is the thing. You can do this yourself. Take a picture of the sun and the moon. Make sure your zoom's the exact same. All right, and then make one opaque 50%. And they overlay perfectly, where they take up to the naked eye the exact same space.
Are you saying that the sun and the moon take up the exact same amount of space?
From our point of view on Earth, yes.
That
and
is
this something-
literally just not true. There are days where the moon
my
looks
friend.
ginormous.
My friend, on those days, take a picture and then prove me wrong. I'm telling you, this is something I've done for myself.
Are you saying that like you've never seen like the moon be huge, or like
That's an
sometimes you
illusion.
can't even
That's
see
the- when
it?
Yes, when it's close to the horizon, it's an illusion. It's not actually when you actually measure it with your camera, because we are seeing things on the horizon. It just appears bigger. You can Google that fact right now, and hopefully
Is
that
that
gives me a little
true?
bit.
I don't know. I have no
Yes.
idea.
It's true.
Does the moon sometimes appear bigger?
It's an illusion.
Yes,
Call
the moon
it
can
freezing,
occasionally appear up to 14% larger and 30% brighter than its smallest size. Happens during a supermoon, which occurs during when a full moon coincides. Okay, it's like with full moon coincides with the closest orbital point to the Earth. Okay,
Regardless,
so it literally changes size, so that just can't be.
99.9% of the time, this is something I'll claim that you can test easily, and I'll put my reputation on. You take a picture of both, same zoom, they will overlay perfectly on top of each other.
Okay,
Except
let's say that's true. Why would that be any evidence for God's existence?
Because that's fine tuning, dude.
Why
That's
would God
like-
want that? Why
I'm
would
not-
we
I have no
expect
idea,
that to
but
be the case?
it's just-
Sure, then your hypothesis doesn't even predict that. So it's not
Well,
evidence for the view. In
well,
order
if
for it
you
to be
find-
evidence for the view, there needs to be a reason why we would expect it under the view. If you're saying
that's
we have
like-
no reason to expect God
Nah.
creating like a sun and the moon that are
That's
just
like-
the same
that's like
size, well,
saying-
then it's just
no.
not evidence.
That's like saying this person didn't get murdered because I have no idea who did it and what their motive would be. I don't buy that. Like,
Well,
if
wait, but
let
you
me
can
ask
tell that somebody got murdered because there are a couple of things that you would expect. Like, for example,
Yeah.
repeated stab wounds are something that you would expect in a
Exactly.
murder.
Yes.
You would expect
Yes.
these sorts of injuries that don't occur otherwise.
I agree.
Uh,
And
whereas we have
intelligent-
nothing.
In an intelligently created realm, we would expect to see weird fucking coincidences like that. And
But why
also,
wouldn't I just think that that's a coincidence? We would also expect to see coincidences that are unintentional in every scenario.
it's one of many. It's the golden ratio. Have you heard of the golden ratio?
Yeah, what about the golden ratio? Moving past the
Fact
first
that-
point that fell apart.
I don't think it fell apart, my brother.
You
Like
just wanted to move away from it really quickly.
you claimed I was wrong, that they don't take up the same amount of space, and then you
They
Googled it.
literally
and
change
found it.
sizes.
My claim is 99.9% of times they don't. If you can take it, you can. This is an experiment you do for yourself if you ever want to do it. And that's where the pivot of this conversation is. The reason I want to move on is there's nothing else we can do except you can do that experiment, and this is how science is done. And then you can come check with me and say, "Oh, you're fucking wrong," or "You're fucking right."
Oh, also,
that's
fun
it.
fact: the moon gets farther and farther away from the Earth each year.
That's beautiful, dude. I'm just saying, according to our perspective on Earth, they take up the same amount of sky.
Okay, but if you were to stay here for the next, like, I don't know, like billion years, they wouldn't.
You think that's a good argument?
Yeah, If that's
Because
if
you
it's
know
finally
how
tuned,
long-
then
how
why
long-
is that?
How long have well, first off, you don't know that to be true.
Well, we do. We know that the moon is getting further away from the
Well,
Earth.
how shocked would you be to hear an article in 10 years that say, "Wow, looks like that we are actually getting farther away from the moon"? How shocked would you be on a scale from 1 to 10? Because
That we are
science
getting
corrects
further.
itself.
That's what I just said.
No, that we are in fact not. If Science
That would
National
be
came
quite
up-
surprising given the origins of the moon, that in fact, the moon formed when some other planet like collided with us and then gave rise to like a fuck ton of debris that's been, at first it was like super close to us and it's been getting further and further away. That means that we would just be completely, totally dead wrong about the origins of the moon.
right? And when's the last time science was completely fucking dead wrong about something?
When's
that they
the
were
last time that
100
religion was right about literally any piece of scientific information?
Bro, I'm not religious. Agreed. I'm
What about
the log-
Gnosticism? When's the last time that Gnosticism or deism was right about literally any piece of science?
I don't worship Gnosticism as an idol. I literally bring it up as a possible explanation for why God.
And just
They
a
have-
time when deism is like made an accurate scientific prediction, like a novel scientific prediction.
A time when deism.
Yeah, I just want a time when deism made an accurate prediction about the natural world.
I don't think I can. I'm not. I
Okay,
don't worship
sure.
deism as a religion. I don't have like a pope or a prophet or a God that tells me the future. I'm sitting here in this world and
Yeah.
I'm putting together pieces of the puzzle, and I'm seeing that you have to be kind of blinded to not. Okay, so if you found a rock in the middle of the wilderness, you would think it's a naturally formed rock, right? if there was
Well,
a-
it depends on the circumstance, but like probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure, but if there's a face on it, then you think, oh, that's weird. Erosion might have just fucking made a face on it. But if
That
there
would
was
be
numbers
unlikely.
on it- yeah, if there's numbers on it, if there was ridges on the side, all these pieces of evidence.
Ooh,
would start
ridges
to
on the
make-
side? I don't know
Yeah,
if I'd
bro.
take ridges on the side to be evidence that it was created.
Like what? Like vertical ridges, like a quarter? Like
Oh,
you know what I mean?
depends.
Like
Oh, you mean something like that? I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
maybe. I could totally see
Like
that
a
coming
date?
about via like natural means. That seems like exactly the sort of thing that like natural erosion might give rise to via like some phenomena. There are like lots of geological phenomena that I don't know about. That seems like something that would be plausible.
well, at a certain point, the evidence would be overwhelming that it was a man-made coin, with the dates, with the facial features, all
Yeah,
that.
we could arrive at that conclusion of that through other means. I don't know, like the fact that the specific metal composition of this doesn't occur absent undergoing like metallurgical processes, so it like doesn't happen on nature on its own. So just based on the materials themselves, we could come to that judgment.
I mean, I don't know. You got me there. Sorry, I'm drinking right now.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I mean, here's what I'll finish at. Have you ever heard like the Russian former Russian what do they call it, KGB, talking about how he wanted to brainwash Americans, or how the KGB wanted to brainwash Americans? He said the end goal was that with their brainwash is so powerful that you can take them to water and say there is no water there, and they'll believe you. And this is, I think logic can break through anything. As long as you worship logic above anything else, we can get to the truth. I think me and you didn't have a good dialogue. I think I maybe got a little too heated. I think maybe we got a little too animosity or whatever the word is. But the thing is like, when you refuse logic, to me, it's always because you are offloading your logic to an external source and you don't want to admit they're wrong, which is backed by psychological science, with Stockholm syndrome, with tribalism.
Are you
with,
saying that I'm the one that's rejected logic here? You literally
How-
rejected Bayes' theorem in front of like 1,000 people between, TikTok and
Animosity.
YouTube. You said straight up that you don't think that something needs to be expected by the hypothesis in order to be evidence for it, right? Like you're just denying like well-established scientific theories, or
Part-
sorry,
part of me-
not even scientific, just like well-established mathematical theorems.
Okay, tell me exactly again in one sentence how I refute.
Yeah, you deny that in order for something to be evidence for a view, it needs to be expected on the view.
In order for something to be
Evidence in order for something to raise the probability of a view, that it would need to be expected by the view.
Well, so give me an example.
For example, let's say that I have the hypothesis that it rained last night versus the hypothesis that it didn't rain last night.
Yeah.
It's expected on the hypothesis that it rained last night that the ground is wet. So let's say I go outside and the ground is
Okay.
dry. well, then that actually lowers the probability that the view is true. It's not like a
So-
decisive defeater to it, but it certainly lowers the probability of it.
So what would you call the ground being wet again? Then what would you say that? And if we
That's
could define
evidence.
that evidence.
That's
what
evidence
I'm
in
saying is
favor
I
of the
have
ground
to-
being, or that it rained last night, and it's evidence against the hypothesis that it didn't rain last night.
Right. So I'm saying I have in fact provided evidence that the world is creatively designed with things like the golden ratio and the fact that the sun and moon are the same size.
But why would
fact
we
that you didn't
expect the sun
the
and the
fact
moon
that
to be
you were-
the same size?
Because patterns. Because do you know they also follow each other in the sky and the same paths and they move at relatively the same speeds? And the fact that you are 27 or however old you are, and you did not know what 99.9% of all ancients knew, that the sun and the moon take up the same amount of sky, means that we have been brainwashed. Means that we have been fucking. I mean, yeah, you chuckle at the word brainwash because you've actually been conditioned.
like
to chuckle at the word
delusional.
brainwash. It's actually not.
You're
I'm actually speaking
delusional.
logic.
You're literally
I'm
spouting
taking
off
you to
conspiracy theories. How do you know that you weren't wait,
what
if you think
conspiracy
that if you
theory?
think we were brainwashed by the KGB, how do you know that the KGB didn't brainwash you into spouting off all of this stuff, into seeing patterns where there are none?
Never said that I was brainwashed by the KGB.
I'm
I
asking
was,
you, how do you know that the KGB didn't brainwash you into thinking all the things that you think?
because you're not given because logic, and if there's
Yeah.
a logical refute
Okay,
to my
so
what I
it
believe,
seems like you actually have no like solid. All you have is like a noun, right? Like literally,
ad
all you
hominem.
can produce is a
Ad
noun.
hominem. So I'm giving you logical statements, and you're not giving me logical
Your
rebuke.
belief system is self-defeating. Conspiracism is self-defeating.
What
Because by
conspiracy-
positing
what
some sort of
conspiracy did I-
powerful deceiver, then you should just assume that you're being deceived right now.
What conspiracy did I say that I
You
believe
said
in?
that the KGB brainwashed us to no longer believe
No,
things.
I sure didn't, buddy. I said a KGB person explained how brainwash works,
Mhm.
and CIA does, and there are scientific
Yeah, you
documents.
said that the
Wait,
KGB
so,
wants
okay.
to brainwash
Do you
people
believe- do you
to
believe- do
not
you believe
believe
you can
things that are
brainwash people?
logical.
Do you believe you can brainwash people? Do you believe the CIA can brainwash people?
I have no idea. Probably not.
Funny you don't. Funny you don't.
Yeah,
Look it up.
I think probably no. I mean, they can certainly condition people and like
So,
fuck with
have you
people's
ever heard
like
of-
psyche, but no, I
But
doubt
you-
that they
you've
can
heard of
like
MK Ultra, though,
brainwash
right?
people. Yeah, wasn't that like
But
a
what do
huge
you-
failure? Didn't that just produce like a bunch of like mentally ill people?
Why did they try to do it? Is my question.
Yeah, because they wanted to see if they could, and then it turns out that they
why did they want
can't.
to? Why did they?
Right.
Why did they?
They
why
just
did they want to see
discovered
if
the
they
truth
could?
that when you subject people to like horrible torture,
Why did
you know,
they
it just
wanna
makes
see if
them
they
like pretty
could?
fucked up for the rest of their life.
Why did they want to see if they could?
Because it would be like a useful tool for them.
Yeah, so you're kind of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, except
Why? What's the conspiracy there?
that they tried to fucking brainwash the public, and because it'd be a useful
They didn't.
tool
Well,
for
they
powerful
didn't try
people.
to. They had like certain people that they ran the experiment on.
Also, they tried to.
Yeah, they wanted to see if they could. They were doing like scientific research.
This is way more fun than I thought it'd be, brother. You're worshiping idols. That's the reason you
Oh
can't
wait,
see
was
this
that
logic
was that
I'm
fake
spouting.
chuckle supposed to do something or like help you out here? How do you know that I worship idols and
It
that
was from
you
my-
weren't just
it was from my
brainwashed into
belly,
believing that the conversation that we had happened when in fact it didn't?
Beg pardon?
Yeah. How do you know that the conversation that we had actually happened and that it isn't just your brainwashing that is leading you to delusionally thinking that it happened?
That's the way a conspiracy theorist thinks. Bro.
I'm
I don't
asking,
know.
yeah,
what
I
you're
know
on.
it is. Yeah, I'm showing you why your
But I think
worldview is
logically, I
self-defeating.
think lo-
It's an
because I'm
internal
telling you-
critique of your own paradigm. I'm asking you, how can you escape too much conspiracism?
I don't. My life's not ruled by conspiracy.
Clearly it is. Just answer the question. How do you know that you weren't brainwashed into believing that this conversation took place when in fact it didn't?
Because I have logic and I have reasoning.
And sorry, what reasoning would lead to that conclusion?
I mean, there would be evidence presented to me to the contrary.
Oh,
that I
sure.
would-
Yeah. So you would expect to see like some sort of evidence to the contrary. But I mean, you know that these things exist. What if they brainwashed you such that there is no evidence?
I mean, but you're just like you're starting to think like a conspiracy theorist. Like that's not how
I'm
I
thinking
think
like
at
you're
all.
thinking. I'm showing you the
Why-
absurdity
why
of
do
your
you-
thought
why-
process.
why-
The fact
how
that
are
you
you-
can't even recognize your own absurd
Name
thought
one-
process
name-
is indicative.
Name one belief that shows that I think like that. One belief of
Yeah,
mine. and
that
then
you
walk
believe
me
in like
through.
brainwashing. You think that
You
there are
just
like
said
powerful
the fucking-
organizations
you
that are
just
going around
admitted it, brother.
brainwashing people.
You just admitted that the government's tried to brainwash.
Yeah, they
people.
tried to, and then they realized that it doesn't work.
And so,
that
wait,
it
so
doesn't
do you think they
exist,
stopped
that it's
trying?
like nonsense,
So
you
you
know.
think they
They
stopped
they
trying?
learned the profound truth that when you torture people, it just messes them up for the rest of their life.
So they got better. So they were evil and it got better. Is that what you're
It
telling
kind of
me?
sounds like they decommissioned the program. I mean, if they were still doing it, then probably you wouldn't see the documents like unclassified or whatever.
So this is how you're supposed to think: is you're supposed to look at the world and you're supposed to be informed by demonstratable, repeatable experiments, right? Do you agree?
Oh, I don't think that that's the only way that you can come to know things.
Yes, because if you were looking at like a PEMDAS, like an order of equation, you would say that you also need to first that trumps everything that you see, because that's just anecdotal evidence. You need to first fucking value and worship what studies, peer-reviewed studies say.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I think.
But that's gotta be how you believe, brother.
It's
I met
not.
running.
Sorry.
So
I'm like big into philosophy. I think empirical evidence is one type of evidence that's super useful, informs us of a lot. I don't think that's the only way that you can come to beliefs justifiably.
yeah, I don't know. There seems to be such an overemphasis and overtrustedness in dude, I'm making up words on the fly. I don't really care. You get what I'm trying to say. To provably corrupt and horrible institutions, and I think that stems from what I said at the beginning, is that we all are ancient flaws, that we offload our logic onto external sources, authoritarian sources, to our mommy, to our poppy, to our teachers, and we like, oh, they would never lie to us. Our Stockholm syndrome, political tribalism, that's our ancient
Could be.
flaw. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah, we definitely believe things based on like, I don't know, testimony of others. We believe things based on the fact that like an authority said it. I agree with that.
So like, to me, I'm very wary of that, because I've been led down so many wrong paths. I've been radicalized to the left. I've been radicalized to the right. I was raised Mormon.
2 ups
like,
this time.
2 ups this time.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I appreciate you.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is like, so I'm forced into this world that's so deceitful and so corrupt that I can only really trust my own logic. And like, if I hear something that's like against my logic, sure, I'll change my mind. But like, you just saying, oh, you're not doing this, and this, like, you're not actually. The fact that the sun and the moon take up the same amount of fucking space is pretty fucking wild, and the fact that you can't acknowledge it, and the fact that you haven't even realized that in your 27
Well, it
years
doesn't even seem like that's true. If they're both changing the size that they are over time, that just doesn't seem like
And
the sort
hey,
of thing that's true.
then my whole fucking reputation hinges on everyone going home and doing the experiment for themselves. If not, the crazy yelling guy that can't fucking handle his shit is right. And you
Okay.
know,
Well,
if not, you're wrong. But God bless you, brother. Take
hey,
care.
thanks so much for coming on up. All right, let's read. Holy shit, we have way more supers. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. I'll also be willing to talk to like a deist, but you know, if you're a deist, like please don't be like a yapper or whatnot. With that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Yeah, how you doing?
Amazing. How are you today?
Doing well, doing well. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Yeah, and what religion?
I am a Christian. I was before I kind of said anything, I just wanted to I guess share my testimony of I know you've been sorry, I like did not expect to be called. I was like helping my sister with something. I've noticed for like the past hour you've just been here and a lot of debates about whether God is real. And I understand that everybody has a different understanding, and I just wanted to share mine before I share anything else pretty much.
Wait, so
Yeah.
I mean, if at all possible, I would love to not engage with like totally unfalsifiable like personal experience. Maybe a good question is, do you think the only way
Yeah.
to arrive at the conclusion that God exists is through like a personal experience? Like, is this the only way?
I believe either a personal experience or understanding, but yes.
Okay, so if the only way to know that God exists is through personal experience, then why doesn't God give everyone a personal experience?
He does. And sometimes people just don't, they refuse it. Again, I would just wanted to kind of share this for you to know why the reason
But
I believe what
wait,
I
I'm
believe
sorry. I'm
is.
sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
what you just said like can't be true. I've never gotten a personal experience. Billions of people have never gotten a personal experience.
There's I want to say a tier level in a way. For example, I just want to put this out there so that this is what I want to go off of. Well, my bad. My mom's like a little upset in the back. When I was born in a Christian family and I was raised to believe that God was real, but I never believed it because I was like, come on, God is not real because I've never got a personal experience myself. I never understood it. And I was like, I went to Sunday school listening to all these stories about David and the Goliath or Abraham or Moses. And I'm like, how can a man part the seas? Like, that is impossible. I was like borderline atheist at that point. And it was, I want to say, it was last April, exactly last April, where I went to a little retreat, like with my church. My parents forced me to go, and I really didn't want to go. And I remember at that retreat, I was crying because they were talking about God, and I was so upset that everybody got this understanding of God, but I didn't. That I was so like upset that like God is listening to everybody, but not me, and that was just crazy to me. How I was like nothing to Him, and I remember I was in prayer because I was reaching out and I said, God, if you are real, then send me a person right now. Send me your nicest angel to come up to me and tell me that you love me, that you're here with me. And literally, I didn't even open my eyes. A girl came up to me and she was like, God loves you. Like, God loves you. God is with you. He cares about you. And later on, turned out her name was Angel, which I thought was funny. But
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's do like a similar thing. Hey God, if you're out there, please write I'm real on this drawing tablet. That's it. I'll become a believer instantly. So will everyone in the audience.
that's not how that works.
What? Oh, I thought that's how that works. I thought that was like the lesson is that like ask and you shall receive, but I guess not.
Hold on. Okay, I understand what you're kind of saying, and I understand you're doing this in a way to prove me wrong, which to people it might seem like you are, but ask and you shall receive in faith. You can't just say, God, reveal yourself to me,
So
send a fire down on this fire.
So in order
on
to
this
get the
tree right now,
evidence, you already
and
need
burn
to
the
believe in
forest."
him. He won't give you
sorry,
the
I just
evidence
wanted
if you
to-
don't already believe.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say I would like to finish talking
Okay.
before I would you speak, and I will do the same to you, and if I interrupt you, I apologize.
Well, I just don't
in
want you to
advance.
like
I
talk.
don't want
I super
Yeah.
don't want like a personal story. Like I don't care. It's unfalsifiable. It's illogical to think that that's the only way that God could reveal Himself. Like that literally leads to like
But-
contradictions. Like please don't share a personal story with me. I'm like begging you.
No, I'm not going to share a personal story. I already did. That is my experience. That's what happened to me. There was more, but I'm not going to share it because it is obvious to me that you are not interested in hearing it, and that's okay.
True.
But I just want to say, you can't say, God, I want you to burn this tree on fire right now, and then everything's going to go up in flames. You have to have faith. You can't tell God to just come down and like bring a person to life. That's not how it works because you're not going to have faith. To have faith, you need to believe that Jesus is Lord and that He came down and He died for your sins, and that you have to have love for the people and God. You have to love God and you have to believe in Him.
Okay.
No works are good out of faith. I have a Bible verse here. I have my Bible pulled up in front of me. So if you want to bring up any biblical scriptures, if you know to maybe talk about them, discuss them, I'd love to do that.
Wait, can we just talk
I-
about what you just said before we move to like a different thing? So
Yeah.
here, there's like a catastrophic problem with this. You're saying in order to get the personal experience, you need to have faith already. But you just said that you define faith as like a belief in Jesus as your Lord and Savior. So you first need to believe that Jesus is God in order to get the personal experience. So in order to get the evidence that Jesus is God, you would first need to believe in it. You need to have the belief before you have the evidence. Why would I form a belief for something that I have no evidence for?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not word that correctly. I should have, been more not elaborate, but like
Sure.
better with my
Okay. So
words.
why won't
Yeah.
God put like a sticky note on my desk saying I'm real? Or why won't He say Why won't you write like I'm real on my drawing tablet? Like, why can't he do that?
Because you are testing God. I just want to clear one thing up. Asking for a confirmation or asking for an experience is different from testing God. Testing God would be like saying, God, I have like a pack of M&Ms in front of me, saying, God, I want all of these M&Ms to just scatter across the room. I want this pack to be lifted up in the air. That's testing God. That's giving him an assignment. Do this or you're failing.
But
That's not how
isn't that
God
what you
is.
did in your personal experience? You said, send an angel to tell me that you love me, and then that happened? Like, isn't that
No, I asked God. Oh, sorry, I interrupted. I said no. I asked God. I said, if you are real, I want to believe. I opened my heart by saying, I want to believe. I opened my heart for God to do something. And then I said, I want you to send me an angel. I want you to give me a confirmation that you are with me.
okay?
That's not testing God. That is asking him to reveal himself to me. And
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, let's do that. God, if you're real, I want to believe in you. So please give me a sign that you're real. I want you to write on this drawing tablet that you're real.
We're not going to do any writing. That is just testing God again. If you want God to reveal himself to you, I can say like a little prayer with you. You can repeat after me,
Okay.
and then we can start up from there.
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
Sure.
All right. It's up to you whether you want to close your eyes or not. But going to this prayer, I want you to be open-hearted, not just trying to prove somebody wrong, but
Will I
just
need to
have
say
an
things that
open
I don't
heart.
believe in this prayer, or?
No.
Okay,
No,
sure.
I
Yeah,
won't
let's
make
do
you.
it.
I'll try to abstain from that as much as not as much as I can, but I'll try to abstain from that. But just go into this prayer, just have an open heart.
Mhm.
That's all I ask. God, okay, sorry. Go ahead and repeat after me. Your name is Ian, right?
Yeah.
All right. Jesus, I don't believe that you are God.
I don't believe that you are God.
But if you are
But if you are
with me,
with me,
please reveal yourself to me
please reveal yourself to me
throughout this day
throughout this day,
and show me yourself in little things.
and show me yourself in little things.
Amen.
Amen.
And I just wanted to ask, why don't you believe that God is real? Like, kind of, why? I've heard earlier you said that there's no evidence and it doesn't line up with like time, and it doesn't line up with just you said another word that I forgot. But I just wanted to say, is that it, or like kind of why?
Yeah, let's talk about like the problem of evil. It just seems like there's like horrific suffering in the world, and it's
Mhm.
I don't know. Like if you tell me that this world was created by like an all good, all powerful, all knowing being, it just doesn't seem like we would expect all of this like variety of suffering in the world. For example, the fact that like kids die of cancer. Let's say you had the power to make all cancer disappear instantly forever. Do you think that doing that would be the right thing to do?
That will come on the day of judgment. That's what I want to say. And let me start off with this.
Wait, but would you do that if you had
Yeah.
the power to?
I would, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Would God make all cancer disappear instantly forever right now if he had the power to?
he wants to.
But would he?
But he wants to. That's the thing. Would he? I don't know. But he wants to. I know that
Clearly
he wants
the answer
to.
is no. The answer has to be no.
No.
Otherwise there would be no
No,
cancer.
I wanted to start off with this world is corrupt, and we clearly see that in Genesis.
Wait, sorry.
1.
Let's not move past that. We just need like a direct answer to this. Would God make all cancer disappear instantly right now if he had the power to?
Would he? Hmm.
The answer has to be no. It can't not be no. If the answer is yes, then there would be no cancer. The fact that there's cancer means that God would not make all cancer disappear instantly right now forever if he had the power to.
God. Oh, sorry, my brother. Give me a second. God gave us free will. That's the thing. I want to answer your question, but I'm not a major. I don't have a major. Hold on, sorry. Okay, sorry. My brother was knocking.
That's okay.
I am not a doctor. I don't have a degree in this, but what I do know, I will share, and what I have learned, I will share here, because it is the truth, and I believe it is the truth, and I want other people to be saved, and I want people to see God for who He is, and not for
Wait,
who.
can we just get like an answer to the question? The answer, you know the answer.
Again, you're right. Okay. He wants to, and again, I can't say
That
he would or
doesn't
he
answer
wouldn't
the
because I'm not
question.
God.
The question is,
Okay,
if
you're-
God had the
you're right,
power to
he
make
would.
all cancer disappear right now, instantly, forever, would God do that? Either yes, if God had that power, he would, or no, if God had that power, he wouldn't. It needs to be one or the other. And in fact, like, you just know the answer. The answer is no, God wouldn't do that.
Yeah. God would do that.
So there's no cancer.
Okay,
So
see,
cancer
this is
doesn't
where it like kind of
exist.
hits a wall. This is kind of where it hits a wall, you know, because you mentioned earlier how there's a lot of can I say it rape out there, and a lot
that's
of
that's a
bad
great
things and a lot of
example
evil.
of like a thing that wouldn't exist, right? You know, if I had a button that made all the people who will rape in the future disappear instantly, and in fact, like the ones who would do it at some point in the future just never be born in the first place, I would push that button.
That makes sense.
Would you?
I would
Would God?
love for the world to be perfect as well. I would probably push that button too. I say
Yeah.
probably because I know the value of a human life, and I believe everybody can change. So if there was a chance to wipe it out, I would, but that's my imperfect nature talking. Because God is all perfect. He is just good. He's good. God is good. He is the the standard.
Do you think
Jesus
that
is the standard. So when God created the heaven and the earth, He made the world perfect. The world was perfect. There was no evil. There was no death. There was no sickness. No nothing. But when Adam and Eve bit from that tree, by man sin entered. By Adam sin entered into this world, and by one man sin was forgiven. So Adam brought sin into this world by taking that fruit, you know?
I don't know how that really addresses the point. Maybe I'll just ask a question. Do you think it's perfect to create somebody if you know that that person's going to grow up to be a rapist?
But God doesn't. God doesn't. We have free will. Hold on. Let me hold on. I'm
I
trying
just
to
want to
like.
know, is that perfect? Would it be perfect to create somebody, bring them into existence if you know for certain that they're going to grow up to be a rapist?
I'm hitting a wall again. I don't know. See, if I say yes, then I'm a bad person. If I say no, then my argument makes no sense. I told you, I'm going to respond by how I know, by what I've learned, by what has been revealed to me.
Well,
And
wait, so to
I
be
just want to
clear,
say
that should like give you
with this-
pause, right? The fact that it seems like there's kind of a contradiction either way, that
It's
you know,
not though. It's not a contradiction. I'm just trying to explain it, and this question is being brought up that I don't. To answer, you need to delve deep into more. Like you can't give a kindergartner a multiplication problem. He's not gonna know how to solve it.
mhm.
There's steps that he has to take along the way to learn. You can't just give him like crazy fractions and like algebraic expressions to solve, a kindergartner won't know it
Yep.
because there are steps that are taken to learn those throughout the years.
Yeah, that's totally
In the
fine.
same
But
way,
then
I can't.
if you like, so for example, I've read the entire Bible and I still don't know why this argument is false.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure. Like clearly it can't be perfect. You know, if I had a son, if I was going to have a child and I knew that that child would grow up to I don't know, be like Adolf Hitler, you know, let's say I have this knowledge right before I'm about to like impregnate my wife. I would just not
Yeah.
do that. I would simply not have sex with my wife and have this child. I would just have like a different child after that like sperm cell had like died off or whatever. Likewise, you know, if God knows that some people are going to grow up to be rapists and he can just choose to not make them, then presumably he would just choose to not make them.
But the thing is, when God creates us, he gives us free will. God gives us free will. We can choose to believe in him or we can choose to not believe in him. It is our will. It is your will if you want to go out and like, I'm sorry, I'm just putting this in thing. A man has free will, whether he wants to go out and rape a girl or whether he wants to compliment her on her hair and keep going.
Yeah.
It is his choice. It is his will.
Does it take away free will to not create someone in the first place?
What do you mean, does it take away free will? Can you elaborate on that?
Let's say God just didn't create you in the first place. Would that take away your free
Yeah.
will?
Well, I wouldn't be there to have free will, so
Yeah, exactly,
I
right.
wouldn't.
So let's say God just doesn't create the rapist in the first place. That wouldn't take away their free will.
But the thing is, okay, hold on. When God creates you, when you are created, you have the choice. So what is the concept of like, what do you mean free will? Because if God creates you to be perfect, then you don't have free will. You're a machine that is forced to love him. But God doesn't want you to be a machine. God doesn't want worship. He wants love. He wants you to love him. He wants you to believe in him and actually like open your heart to him. So if God creates you and he's like, hey, now go do this, go worship me, go build temples, like that's not free will. That's just God commanding you and you do it. You're a robot. You're a machine.
Wait, but you would agree that it doesn't take away free will to not create someone. So you agree that you wouldn't be taking away these like non-existent rapists' free will if God just doesn't create the people that he foresees are going to rape.
But how is it giving free will if he doesn't create them? Those rapists aren't born rapists.
Oh, you don't want to say that. Otherwise, God is taking away the free will of literally every single person that he didn't create. Like God is taking away the free will. Like I don't have a twin brother, but like, you know, I could have had a twin brother. So God's taking away the free will of my twin brother by not creating him.
I'm a little lost on here. I don't think I completely understand your like.
So you're saying if God doesn't create someone, then it takes away that person's free will. The reason why what you're telling me is that God needs to create the people that he foresees to be rapists, because if he didn't create the people that he foresaw to be rapists, then that would take away their free will. I'm telling you that just can't be true, right? Like it can't be true that not creating someone takes away their free will, because otherwise God's taking away infinite people's free will by not creating them.
You are starting off at a kindergartner being given a multiplication problem kind of level. If you want to learn more about it, if you want to come into this with an open heart and like actually understand, this isn't about proving somebody on, this is about understanding. But I'm seeing that you are here just proving people, and I just want to, if you are here to actually understand, then I would like to explain it to you as best as my understanding, which is why I believe in God. When God created, I'm starting out from the beginning again. When God created Adam and Eve, he created them in Eden, it was a perfect place. There was no evil, there was no sickness, there was no death, there was no pain. And he put a tree in the middle and he said, don't eat from that tree. They ate from the tree, therefore they sinned. And the world became corrupt. Evil entered into that world from the tree because they didn't. Satan tempted them. and they fed into the temptation, and evil entered this world. Because of that, we have a corrupt world. If Adam and Eve never ate from that tree, if they followed God's will, if they didn't fall into temptation, this world, we would have been living in a perfect society, a perfect world, with nothing to fear, with nothing to bother or disturb our peace. But we
Wow.
do. Why? Because sin entered this world. So
But didn't God already know that
God,
they were going to do that before creating them? Why not just create the Adam and Eve that don't make that decision?
because that's taking away free will.
So
If he
you do
didn't
think it
create,
takes away free will to not create people. So God's taking away infinite people's free will because there are infinite people that God hasn't created.
he see again, I can't answer that. I'm like having trouble understanding.
Okay.
I don't. You explained it from like seemingly different point of views. I don't think I understand that question. So I would like to move on from there, just because I don't want to say anything to falter
Okay, that's
or
fine. That's
to be
fine.
stumbling block.
Yeah. There's also like some concerning passages
Yeah.
to me within the Bible itself. I don't know. Have you read the entire Bible?
I have not, no, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
I went to a Bible school and I started off with the New Testament, and I've been reading that mostly. So I know other stories, I know other passages, verses, all that, but I believe what I believe because of what has been revealed to me, what I've read, what I've known, what I've experienced, what I've heard. So I'm not coming from this with like a degree, as I said. I'm coming from this from trying, because I want to understand why you don't believe God is real.
Yeah.
And I want to share my faith with you and
Yeah.
what I believe is, I want you to be saved.
Yeah. Let me
I
break this down.
yeah, go ahead.
So, okay, Jesus says that the old covenant is still in effect. He says this in Matthew 5. Let me read that passage. It's like
Let me pull it up. I just want
this
to
is
stay
Matthew
along.
5,
Matthew 5,
17 through 19. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So Jesus says that no part of the law has gone away until heaven and earth pass away, which they haven't. The law is still in effect. But I look to the law and it's horrific. The law includes passages that say that you can own slaves, that you can sell your daughter into slavery, that you can beat your slaves with a rod. It's just like a ton of, it's a horror show, the law. So it doesn't seem like an all good God could be the sort of God that legislated into existence the institution of slavery for the Israelite people and then reaffirms that law in the New Testament.
All right, I have read the passage. There is another part of the kind of like section. It is Matthew 5:20. I just want to finish it up.
Yeah.
You left off at 19.
Yep.
It says, Matthew 5:20 says, "For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you'll certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." And then, okay, no, that makes sense. Okay, no, that's a good question, because I remember I was a little confused about that too when it says that the old covenant was in place and the new covenant was there, and I was confused about that. But we are living in the new covenant with God, because when Jesus died for us, the old covenant, I don't want to say like disappeared into air. It was history, and Jesus created a new covenant with us.
That's just not what Jesus
Whenever
says,
you die.
though. Like, where are you getting that from the Bible? Where it says like the Old
That's
Testament
Matthew.
or like the Old Covenant isn't still in effect.
Right in Matthew 5, that is before Jesus' death, and then after Jesus' death, let me completely
So,
make sure. I don't want to be
I
wrong.
think there's like
Yeah?
something important to flag in Matthew 5, which is that it says, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. So it's saying that this law is in effect until heaven and earth pass away. Clearly, heaven and earth haven't passed away.
Okay. I I believe I have my answer now.
Yeah.
Jesus established the covenant at the Last Supper, to the cup of wine to be the new covenant. The cup of wine that Jesus rose at the Last Supper was the new covenant.
Yeah. Which
In
verse
his
is
blood.
this?
This is during the Last Supper. Let me entirely make sure. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong, but I don't want to falter somebody's faith. I don't want to be stumbling stone. We were in Matthew. That is the story of the woman. It is right. Sorry, I'm like flipping my Bible a lot.
I'll just look it up.
20
Matthew, Last Supper.
Luke 22. No, it's Luke 22:20.
Well, I mean, the Last Supper happens in all of them, but
Luke.
Luke 22:20.
Yes, but Luke 22:20.
Okay. Yeah.
It says, in the
No.
same way, after the Last Supper, he took the cup, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you."
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm not sure why I would think that the new covenant doesn't just subsume the old covenant. Like
It gives us
That-
grace over the old covenant.
that it gives you grace over the old covenant. Like I understand that you no longer have to sacrifice from the old covenant, but
Mhm.
Jesus says in no uncertain terms that the law is still in effect. Otherwise, what Jesus says in Matthew 5 would be wrong, because Jesus says that the law is in effect until heaven and earth pass away.
Mhm. No, I hear that. Again, Jesus gives us grace over the old covenant, which we don't have to sacrifice our lamb or give our daughters into marriage, or we don't have to like kill people anymore.
But where does it say that the old law
Jesus
goes away?
gives us grace. It doesn't go away. Jesus gives us grace over it.
Okay,
So
sure.
whenever,
But can I still do the old law?
yeah. Hold on, could you elaborate a little bit on
Yeah,
that?
so like in the old law, it says that you can own slaves. So if all that's gone on is that Jesus gives me grace over the old law, would it still be fine if I wanted to own slaves?
I don't believe you should. I don't.
But we're
What do you mean?
okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, it says
What
that
do you
the
mean?
law is still in
So
effect.
you're saying that because the law is in effect, you're going to own slaves
Yeah,
to follow the law.
yeah, the law includes slavery. Like I understand God
But
will give me
we-
the grace to not own slaves if I don't want to, but if I do, like why would that be wrong under this paradigm? If the law is still in effect and slavery is in line with the law, then it seems like the Christian religion would be fine with me owning slaves.
Oh, we are on a whole other wave right now. I don't know how. Hold on. So we don't have to follow the old covenant because God gave us grace. Of course,
But
we have.
wait,
We
but
can't.
can
You can't
we?
cheat on your wife. You can't sleep with 5 women out there and
Yeah.
cheat on your wife, or you can't kill a person. The 10 Commandments are still intact, But God gives us grace over the old covenant, so we don't have to sacrifice and kill and soul and have slaves anymore.
But can we?
We don't have to.
But
We
can we? If
can't.
we want
In a
to,
way-
can we?
I don't believe so because that
Oh,
just
where's that in the Bible?
we have grace over it.
Yeah,
grace
but why
means-
does that mean that we can't do it anymore? That it's like strictly impermissible?
Okay, you're right. I see your point. There's a hole here. I don't know how to. I know
That's okay.
it doesn't. I don't want to say it contradicts or it feel like that contradicts the Bible. I just don't know exactly how to. I guess I don't know how to like shoot out this question because again, I haven't.
That's okay. If you want to come back some other time after you've like looked into it more, that'd be fine.
I feel like this. Okay, I just want to kind of say I would love to come back another time, of course. I don't know when you're live. I actually found you from YouTube, but I just wanted to come here and clear up I feel like the thing with free will,
Mhm.
that's like what I most came here for, because I remember when you were speaking with KB, it kept coming up and he kept getting a little tangled, and I just felt like I can't give you the most perfect, outright, like great solutions for you to find God. You have to search for him, because this is your faith. This isn't, I can't tell you what to believe.
Okay.
This is for you up to believe.
Well,
And I just came here to kind of tackle the little bit of free will that I
Mhm.
could have input about, and I guess to like send, I'll be praying for you from my thing,
yeah,
because
I'll be looking for the signs.
you seem like a great guy. I
Thanks.
would love to see you in heaven, and I would love to see the chat in heaven. I really would. And I just wanted to come here and again tackle what I did know about that. And if you have, because a lot of the questions you're asking is kind of like a higher level that you have to work up to know about them. You can't just drop here and then, like, even me, it's difficult for me to be dropped in the middle of nowhere and just have to figure out where I am. But what I do know, I would love to answer, and I will come back another time, because I like this conversation. I
Yeah.
like talking to you.
Hey, thanks so much for
So-
coming on up. Appreciate it.
I'm so sorry. This is like all over the
Oh,
place. I just
wait,
wanted
that's
to
okay.
apologize
That's
for,
okay.
like-
You're fine. All right. Thanks so much. All right, let's read supers. Wooden, thanks so much for the super chat. A few pounds. Oop, what? Why is my... I hope my video isn't like lagging the fuck out on YouTube. That'd be so sad. I'd literally cry. Wooden, thanks so much for the super chat. A few pounds towards a cool toy for your new desk. Maybe a Newton's cradle. Wouldn't that be fun? Just a little guy. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. Guess never heard of the Harvest Moon? Must not have. Anix, thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks for making philosophy more approachable for a STEM-brained curmudgeon like myself. Got me pondering objective ethics and stuff. Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about analytic philosophy, is that analytic philosophy is very similar. Well, analytic philosophy relies heavily on pure logic. So it shares like the underlying features of mathematics, where there is what continental philosophy is trying to create like good works of like literature, or like interesting works of literature. Analytic philosophy is trying to create like objectively true things. And the way to do that is by making them clear. So the analytic tradition is like really, I don't know, it's like really oriented towards that sort of thing. Dr. Fudge, thanks so much for super chat. Dude has big, nobody around me takes me seriously and I'm going to make it their problem vibes. True. Grimmy, thanks so much for super chat. Guessed religion promotes Stockholm syndrome at its core. That could be true. I'd believe that. Juno, thanks so much for super chat. Bells will ring, tingling-ling. That's a more. Oh, sorry. I missed a great opportunity with the objective ethics super chat. If you guys want to learn about ethics and objective ethics, we're doing a reading group. We're currently reading Rosalind Hursthaus's On Virtue Ethics. We're on, it's labeled chapter 2. It's the third chapter in the series. There's an introduction. So it's the chapter 2 after the introduction, chapter 3 if you're counting the introduction. But yeah, it's on, oh, Amore. I'm sorry. Fuck me. I don't know how to. I did Mandarin in high school. You guys can't flame me. But anyway, it's Saturday, 8 p.m. EST on this 27th. I hope to see you all there. Constantine, thanks so much for the super chat. The moon, your eye, pizza pie equals God exists. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, it's amore. I do know that one. Saint Diluted, thanks so much for the super chat. The stars make you drool like it's pasta a fool. That's amore. Holy shit. Dude, is it just like the fucking lyrics? Okay. Cha cha dem or is this in the lyrics? Should I be singing this? Is this in the rhythm? I don't know. Yeah, what a critical blunder. Cha cha de amor. Take this song to my love or to my lover. Shoo shoo little bird. Go and find my love. That must be to a beat. Is that the same song? Pecho, thanks so much for the super chat. When the moon's in the sky and the colors, this guy, that's the smooth brain. Oh, sorry. Okay. When the moon's in the sky and the colors, the sky, that's the smooth brain. True. Based. Real. Let's get a big W for Pecho, by the way. Huge $20 super chat. I appreciate the heck out of that. Let's get a big W. Eric Slightly, thanks so much for the super chat. I begun reading philosophy due to you talking about KR and V. KR and V? Oh, yeah, knowledge, reality, and value. Of course. Do you have or could you create a roadmap for books you think people should read to build a foundation of philosophical understanding? No. But you know who does? You know who has like great recommendations? Majesty of Reason. That's Joseph Schmidt. Majesty of Reason book tour. You should go watch the full bookshelf tour from the Majesty of Reason, but you don't need to watch the full thing. There's a section that he lays out titled like general philosophy. A lot of those are really good introductory books. He's going to label a number of things as like conceptual empowerment. Those are good. You should read those ones. But I mean, honestly, like at that point, it becomes a question of like, what sort of thing are you interested in? So it's hard to give like a reading list for like philosophy, like what everyone should read in philosophy. I think my suggestion is that you should read enough like conceptual empowerment such that you know what people are talking about. Like you should read, I don't know, like Humer's Knowledge, Reality, and Value to familiarize yourself with the terms. You should read some of the books that Schmidt is recommending. And then after that, you should just start going and raw dogging papers and philosophy books. There's difficulty there. There are like humps, but after you get over like one big bump in the road, like it all just clicks together and everything makes total sense. You can track like everything. I don't know. It's like a beautiful unfolding. And then you can just, I don't know, you're free. You're free at that point. You can drive your car anywhere you want to. I don't know. At that point, you just read the papers that you're interested in. Fuzzy, thanks so much for super chat. I used to be an atheist. Claims are always BS. Probably. Relax with Russell ASMR. Thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. I appreciate you being in this community, by the way. God won't just walk in and bring someone back to life. Jesus walks in and brings Lazarus back to life after 4 days. Am I a joke to you? True. Yeah, he really said abracadabra, alaka-fucking-zam, and then he rose. Cold Ace Austin, thanks so much for the super chat. God's real loser. Thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. Bunny, thanks so much for the super chat. Does granting free will to rapists take free will from the victim? I would think so, right? Like I would assume so. I mean, yeah, like it certainly seems to. Anyway, let's go to the next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, how old are you?
21.
Yep, what religion?
Muslim.
Yeah, what makes you think that God exists?
Well, I know I don't have like a super like well-versed argument to give you. This is kind of just like my own whatever, but not like a personal belief, obviously.
Yeah.
So like the argument I've always been told that I feel like kind of made sense to me, maybe you can help debunk it. So if you go down like a linear chain of like, you know, this needs to be created, this is contingent, a bunch of contingencies ultimately leads you to like a non-contingent being, an ultimate creator. And I've heard like people of atheism say, well, why not that be the universe or something like that? But I don't know if that really made ever sense to me. You know what I mean?
Kind of, yeah. So I think I'm coming around to the opinion that cosmological arguments like that one, that the one that you are running is called the contingency argument, which basically is that, you know, there's these things that exist and they could have been otherwise, you know, they could have failed to exist. And there needs to be some reason for why they exist as opposed to not existing. A necessary thing ultimately, and that just needs to be God. The problem is that I think this is self-defeating because you can ask the same sort of question about God's act of creation. Do you think that God always creates? Do you think his like act of creation is necessary, or do you think that he creates in some worlds but not all of the worlds?
Well, why would him actively creating be relevant to like the contingency argument. Suppose he hasn't created since, like, I don't know, some given time frame. Like, would that
Yeah.
defeat the argument still?
That's not really what I'm asking. What I'm asking is more, is God's act of creation necessary or contingent?
Is God's active creation like meaning? Wait, so are you asking like?
God makes the decision to create, and
Okay.
then he acts to create. And when he
Okay.
acts to create, creation comes into existence. I just
Yeah.
want to know, when God acts to create, is this act of creation necessary or is it contingent?
Would I mean, would it have to fall into either? Like, I don't see how it would be
Otherwise,
contingent
it's
on.
non-existent. So necessary means that it exists in all possible worlds, that it's not possible for it to not take place. Contingent means that it could happen or it could not happen. So if God's act of creation is necessary, then that means that it's not possible that God doesn't create. He always creates.
Yeah.
There is no world where he doesn't. Contingent means that there are some worlds, like it's possible that God didn't create, like he could have just chosen not to.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I don't see the problem with that. Like,
I just want to
like,
know which one it is.
like, if the conclusion is, or I'm sorry, like, if I say that there was a world where he couldn't have created, does that mean it would be contingent?
Yeah, and if it's contingent, then it needs a further explanation.
If it's contingent, then it needs a further explanation, like explanation as to why he would not create.
There needs to be some reason for why. There needs to be like some sort of thing that accounts for the fact that he created as opposed to not creating. The reason why that's necessary is because if you say that some things can happen, they could have been otherwise, but they happen, and there's like no deeper reason as to why they happened as opposed to not happening, then you could just say that about the universe. You could say, well, the universe could have not been, and it just is, and it could have been otherwise, just
I
happens
see
to be
what you
this
mean.
way.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess the answer would be, from like a religious perspective, that like, I guess life is a blessing, and he wants you to see his light, and he wants you to like see you for who he really is.
Yeah.
I guess would be the religious explanation.
Yeah, sure. So then you're saying that the thing that explains the fact that God chooses to create is that God wanted you to see his blessing. Now, it runs back one further chain. God wanting you to see his blessing, is that necessary or is that contingent?
I mean, I would still think it would be contingent.
Yeah. So then that needs
Yeah.
some sort of explanation for it.
As to why he would want you to see his blessing.
Yeah, as opposed to not wanting you to see his blessing. There needs to be something that accounts for the fact that he wants you to see his blessing and, doesn't do the opposite.
Okay, I see what you mean. Sorry, I've
Yeah.
never been down like the chain of
Yeah.
argumentation.
I can cut to the chase. Eventually, we're going to get to something that's necessary. There can't be an infinite chain of contingencies because the entire thing would itself just be contingent, and it would need an explanation that's not inside of itself. So,
Okay.
but that's a big problem, because if we have a necessary thing and that thing is a sufficient explanation for another thing, then the other thing is just necessary. So let's say that God's decision to create is necessary. He always
Mhm.
creates because he always has the desire to create. It's not possible that he doesn't create, or that he doesn't choose to create. Well,
Okay.
God choosing to create is a sufficient explanation for God creating, which means that, God just necessarily creates. And if God necessarily creates, and that is a sufficient explanation for creation existing, then creation's necessary. So you run into something called the modal collapse, which is that it's basically the view that there are no longer any contingencies. In fact, everything is necessary.
I see. Would there be a possible explanation in your view as to like creation being necessary, or does that sound like nonsensical?
Maybe that there's like a successful like ontological argument for why creation exists. Creation, for why like the world exists. It kind of depends. Like there are kind of like two senses of dependency. There's like it's called horizontal dependency, which is like causation, and in which case I'm inclined to think that the chain of causation goes back infinitely. But then there's also vertical dependence, which is something called grounding, which is, I don't know, it's like electricity exists. Electricity isn't caused to exist by electrons. Electricity kind of just supervenes onto the properties of electrons. So we would say that the fact that electricity exists is grounded in the fact that electrons exist. But it's not like a causal thing there, but there still is like a dependence there, if that makes any sense.
Like more so just like a byproduct.
Not really.
Like it's not causing it entirely, but it's more so just like the fact that they do exist.
Well, yeah,
is
actually, yeah,
causing-
kind of. It kind of is like a byproduct, yeah, but it's not like a causal byproduct. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess I'll also cut to the chase. I feel like the biggest grounding in my like religious beliefs throughout my life has been more so like number one, like the opposite would seem too like hard for me to grasp. So like it's more so just me like begging the question, I guess. But like me trying to think of like all of everything existing the way it does, like being, you know, like it comes from like whatever atheists say it comes from. Like and like for example, what do you believe all of this comes from? Like
I don't think that it came into existence. I think that the universe always existed. I think that what it reduces to, I don't know if this is the fundamental level, but I think what it is going to reduce to is we have these quantum fields. All these particles are going to reduce to like specific excitations in the quantum fields, and that the quantum fields are likely just a property of space-time. And then whether or not space-time reduces is like a further question. But I think if you go back and I think that time is infinitely into the past. I think that there's like an infinite regress on that end.
But would it be an infinite regress of like you're saying the universe has always existed, but
Yeah.
isn't the universe in of itself like contingent because it has like is something contingent if it could have been different? Like
Yeah.
could the universe have been different?
I
You know what I mean?
honestly
You know what
don't
I mean?
think so. I'm a necessitarian. I actually accept the modal collapse, but I mean, kind of for like the reason why I was walking you down earlier, like I think that if you have something that's necessary that explains something else, then the other thing just has to be necessary. I think that a chain of contingencies can't be explained by like a further contingency. It needs to be something necessary. So in fact, there actually just can't be chains of contingency. There can only be necessity. If you're off the app, I can't hear you. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm inclined to think that that it's necessary, and I think that is just kind of true on every view.
But I'm asking like definitionally, would the universe be considered contingent because like sorry, I'm not like too well versed in like
It's okay.
definitions, but like for example, matter within the universe, like it changing or it being like I don't know, like I guess what I'm trying to say is it necessarily true that it's contingent? Like definitionally, is the universe contingent, or can it be like up to interpretation? Like in your interpretation, the universe is necessary, but my interpretation is contingent.
I don't think it's up for interpretation. I think that there's going to be some fact of the matter. And when I say that the universe is necessary, what I'm saying is that I think that every state at every time is necessary. That like obviously things are different at different times, but at this specific point in the timeline, it's necessary that it's this way because it's just necessitated by the previous state, which was necessitated by the previous state, which was necessitated by the previous state.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess another question I also wanted to ask you was, oh, by the way, I don't want to like.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm not trying to pivot. I understand what you're saying. I honestly don't have like a.
That's fine.
Yeah,
If you're polite, you're being very polite. If you're polite, you can pivot. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I honestly like don't know how to answer to that universe argument because I've like honestly I'm not really just too well versed in like
That's
the
fair.
universe being a necessary argument.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you like? What would you think that, for example, like Jesus existing back then or Muhammad existing back then, like, do you think that these people were all like liars, or do you like you get what I mean? Like these were historical figures that like so many people claim to have like witnessed, and there's so much like religious authority tied to them. I guess like, do you think it was all just one big lie, or it was all like political corruption? What do you think?
So I don't know what to think. I don't think that there's like anything supernatural going on with either Jesus or Muhammad. I think that like our historical understanding of Jesus is quite limited. He probably does. I think Jesus probably was genuine. There's a couple of things that make me like a bit shakier about Muhammad. There are like some verses in the Quran which are like they're like really eyebrow raising in terms of like how specific it is. Like, you know, I don't mean to be like disrespectful, but there are like so many verses in the Quran where it feels like it's talking about like Muhammad's personal issues. Like God is like legislating in accordance with the things that are currently affecting Muhammad's personal life.
But wouldn't like Muhammad is the standard for humanity, so like I guess his personal issues would be the standard, like God dealing with his personal issues gives like sets forth rules for how personal issues to be dealt with like for all humans afterwards. You know what I mean?
Didn't God cut up like I could be totally misremembering this, but isn't there like a verse in the Quran where God gives Muhammad like explicit permission to marry divorced women, which is like a privilege that he doesn't give to anyone else?
I am like slightly familiar with what you're talking about. I've heard of it, to be honest. I'm not like really too entirely sure. If you want to look it up real quick.
Yeah. I don't think well, I don't think it's divorces, but or like a divorced woman, but oh yeah, the permission to marry more than 4 wives is what it is. Like, okay. Let's say that he
But
was
what would
just
be the? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't want
yeah,
to cut you off. Go ahead.
so one things I was talking about with one of the previous guests is that it's like a question of like what would we expect. I have expectations about what I would expect to see if somebody like genuinely believes the things that they're saying versus like if somebody like half believes them versus if somebody is like totally bullshitting it with respect to like claims about like hearing from God. I think Joseph Smith is a great example because Joseph Smith literally has like a background as like a con man. I think Joseph Smith did something crazy. Like I think he took like I want to say he took like 30 wives over the course of like 2 years. Like that's so crazy. 30 wives in 2 years is like just insane. So when people are like lying about their connection with God, one of the things that I think we have good historical precedent to expect them to do is to start forming like sex cults, basically. And I'm not saying that Muhammad had like a sex cult, but it is like it's quite strange that God is saying to Muhammad exclusively, you Muhammad, you can have more than 4 wives.
But do you think that, like, I understand it'd be crazy to you, and honestly, like, I don't know the answer as to why it would be, but like hypothetically, like, could it be a reason that you're not seeing, such as like maybe he explicitly ordained it for Muhammad because like it would have led to the better expansion of like Islam throughout like more lands or something like that? Like I get to you it's crazy, but like what if there's just a reason that like was for that to be in place? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. So this like general sort of line of thinking, it's called in the literature, like the philosophical literature, it's called like skeptical theism, which is like the view that in the face of like things that look bad, we should be skeptical because God knows like so much more than we do. You know, God knows so much more than we do, but it seems like we have good reason to think that the opposite is true. That like, okay, if God's all knowing, then he knows that this verse is going to be eyebrow raising for a lot of people in the future. So it seems like the fact that this verse exists at all is something that we wouldn't expect because it produces like a stumbling block for a lot of people.
yeah, so like okay, so option A is like the verse is eyebrow raising for you and it causes like some like skepticism versus like let's say hypothetically option B, like the verse doesn't exist and Muhammad isn't ordained to do that and it didn't lead to like a successful expansion of the religion or like something along those lines. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like maybe it's just a more positive outcome in option B versus option A.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's a question of like probability. Like I think we're like 100% certain that some people will get at least like tripped up on this. Whereas like we have literally no reason to think that Muhammad marrying more than 4 women assisted in his like the spread of the religion. In fact, it seems like we have evidence for the opposite. Like I agree, there's like a non-zero chance that through like some chain of causation, you know, maybe the religion spread better because Muhammad had more than 4 wives. But we just have like no evidence for that. Like it's like a very unsubstantiated claim So I don't
Yeah.
know. I just think
I-
that I don't know if
I-
that makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm not giving like something of substance. I'm also just like
Yeah.
saying like why not? But you just mentioned that there was evidence to believe otherwise. That it would be. You just said that there would be evidence to believe that in fact it wouldn't have led to the expansion better. I was just wondering what would that evidence you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
because I think that it discredits a person who's making like spiritual claims when one of the first things they do is go out and take like a ton of wives. Like that actually makes me think that they weren't sent by an all good God. Because that's what I would expect if the person is like either I laid out like the three category distinction, lying, partially lying, and like telling the truth. I would expect somebody to go out and start taking like a ton of wives if they were either lying or partially lying, from their own perspective, of course. That it's indicative of somebody who got a lot of power and is now just like doing things that they want, that they're taking like a ton of wives. You saw literally the exact same thing happen with the Mormons, where suddenly like Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, like they just need 50 wives. Like God has ordained it, he just needs 50 wives now. It just can't, I don't know. It's like, it just seems unlikely to me that the all good God just wants you to, I don't know, have like way more wives now or something.
I do get what you're coming from, but at the end of the day, isn't that just like subjectively what you think? Like you're just kind of like you're pretty much just saying like to you that doesn't make sense that would happen, and it doesn't seem like indicative of an all good God. But like that just like your subjective view on it, and my subjective view on it could be like that like he didn't marry all these wives for the purpose of like just being like operating a sex cult. It is more so just like the norm back then was polygamy, and like they traveled a bunch of places, so like they would have multiple wives to like release their sexual urges, like I guess in different locations.
Yeah.
I don't know. You get what I mean?
Yeah. So here's my problem is that the approach that we're taking to this is we're asking like, which category is this most expected on? One thing that I find compelling about like, okay, there are things that I find uniquely compelling about Muhammad. I think like the Jesus shit makes no sense. The fact that God doesn't just come down and give the book directly to the people, that's like nonsense to me. I don't know why they would ever do this way. Whereas like with Muhammad, I think that one thing that speaks in Muhammad's favor is that I think it makes way more sense for God to just come down and give the book to you. But one thing that I think speaks in like Jesus's favor over Muhammad is that Jesus didn't have sex with anyone. Jesus didn't have a wife. Jesus is like chaste his entire life. That's more so what I would be expecting from like the holy prophet of God, rather than somebody who comes in and then takes like tons of wives.
I get what you're saying, but also there are certain sects of Islam, where like the offspring of Muhammad are like the infallible leaders that are supposed to be like the religious authorities on earth, until the end of times. So I guess like I get what you mean by like Jesus didn't have sex with anyone. That's more like I guess like not holy, like pure in your view.
Yeah, it's like chaste.
Yeah, chaste. But like again, there are certain sects of Islam where like there are religious authorities on earth that are only from offspring of Muhammad and his family. So I guess that could be like a religious explanation as to why it was necessary for him to have offspring and to marry to have sex with his wife.
Which sect is this?
Shia Islam.
Oh, sure. And they derive like authority based on like Muhammad's like children.
Yeah, like a certain like linear path of his children. Yeah.
Oh, I am
Well,
somebody in the
Yeah,
comment
sorry, go ahead.
section. My friend M's in the comment section is telling me that they came from his first wife. Sorry to be like stealing arguments from the comment section, but I mean, if that's true, if they all came from his first wife, then that would seem to undermine the point.
Undermine which point?
It would seem to undermine the point that he needs like multiple wives. Like if the reason why he needs multiple wives, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it, chat. I won't do it. The conversation is too cordial.
Am I about to get trolled?
No. You're getting the opposite of trolled, in fact. But yeah, you're getting like good faith earnest pilled, even. But Yeah, I mean, if that's true, then it seems like Allah could have literally just said, you know, you deserve as many wives as all the rest, because clearly the people who are deriving like the lineage aren't the ones that, um, you know, they're not from like the additional wives.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like the purpose of multiple wives could have been like genuinely just like for like not to sound weird, I guess. I mean, yeah, but that falls into you said it would be more chaste not to. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say the other wives for like sexual pleasures, and
Mm.
like the first wife, just their offspring was picked by God to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
I guess I don't
we
know.
kind of talked about that one. There's like a verse that's like striking to me. It's like almost like cartoonish. Are you familiar with the verse about like staying at the prophet's house for dinner?
Can you give me the verse?
Yeah, I'll read it to you. This one is it's just like a cartoonish verse to me. This is 33:53. O believers, do not enter the home of the prophet without permission, and if invited for a meal, do not come too early and linger until the meal is ready. But if you are invited, then enter on time. Once you have eaten, then go on your way and do not stay for casual talk. Such behavior is truly annoying to the prophet, yet he is too shy to ask you to leave. But Allah is never shy of the truth, and when you believers ask his wives for something, ask them from behind a barrier. This is pure for your hearts and for theirs, and it is not right that you annoy the messenger of Allah, nor ever marry his wives after him. This would certainly be a major offense in the sight of Allah. This is like, I don't know. You know, maybe God has like a higher purpose for this, but this is like, come on.
I guess like I get what you mean. I guess the absurdity is like it's like hyper specific.
Yeah, it's like so specific to like Muhammad's personal affairs.
Yeah.
It's literally like some like oh gosh, you know, my mom said you couldn't come over type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, not to pivot, but I guess like I understand like okay, like it might seem hyper specific the verse, but if someone just like can establish like a grounded like belief in like the core tenets of Islam, like do you think that this would be like a verse to like dissuade you or disprove that? I guess it is like
No,
hyper-specific, I
no,
get
no,
what you
no.
mean, but
No. I think that if somebody like established to me like a core tenet of Islam, then like I'm just gonna have to make my peace with it.
yeah.
I think that this verse has sway into how I evaluate what Muhammad, like who Muhammad was and what Muhammad's like intentions were, insofar as I think Islam is false and that the Quran isn't the word of God. That it's like kind of a question of whether or not he's like a true believer in the things that he's saying, or whether he's like, you know, somewhere between like that and like maybe even just like making it up. Like, I don't know, Joseph Smith was just making it up. I think he probably falls somewhere in the middle. It's not that I think that he has like it's not that I think that he, I don't know. I definitely think he either falls in the middle or is just like totally making it up. And verses like that lead me to that conclusion is basically how I evaluate it. If Islam is true, I think this verse is no problem for it. You know, God's ways are higher than ours. You know, I just don't know what God knows, but absent that.
Yeah. I guess like also for me just like reading it surface level, I guess it like does seem hyper specific. Like it's like directly addressing like a specific incident, but couldn't you also like extrapolate like a general lesson to like I don't know, like don't be inconsiderate or like just respect people's privacy. I don't know, like
Yeah.
maybe the purpose is just like to generally extrapolate like some sort of general lesson.
You totally could be the case. Then he should have just said, don't stay and like linger too long in places. But I mean, even that's probably not true. I think a lot of people enjoy it when people come over for dinner and then stay for hours, like just hanging out. I think a lot of people like that. So even that wouldn't be like a good lesson. Like I get like the lesson of like be considerate, but if that's the lesson, then you should just say that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this is like a decisive defeater to the Quran or anything. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like I'm not I can't really like refute you.
Yeah.
It's more so just like I kind of have to like concede
Yeah, that's fine.
and say, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Otherwise, I appreciated the conversation. I thought it was pretty pleasant.
I'm just wait, give me 1 second to think.
Yeah.
I don't want to get off and like think. Damn, I had another question. I was gonna say also, to you,
Yeah.
do you think that like, do you ever have doubts in your atheism? And if you don't, like, do you think that deism makes more sense than like picking a specific religion, or do you think that like
Oh, trivially.
all the religions are false and like just in general like just a deity existing is more plausible than like following a certain religion?
Yeah, in fact, let me break down like a statistical concept. Let me my like drawing tablet out. So I think that you need to think that theism is more plausible than like a specific religion, because theism is like, actually I think I could probably explain this, that theism subsumes all of the religions. Like however probable like any of the individual religions are, that would imply that theism is true. So theism just like sucks that probability up, except it sucks it up from like any of them. Like the probability of like this religion or that religion being true would be the probability that like theism is true. I do think that when the religions get specific, I think like the descript religions are less likely than the nondescript religions, just kind of inherently, because you get like all these tenets, then some of which are like really hard to defend. I do think that there's like evidence for God. I just think that it gets outweighed by the evidence for atheism. For example, I think that like the best versions of like the fine tuning argument, those give me pause, those make me wonder. But I think that there are like good strategies for like mitigating like how probable that makes theism. And then I combine that with the fact that I think we have like really good evidence for atheism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was listening to you earlier talk to that guy that was talking about like the same size like the moon and the sun and all that, and I was
Yeah.
thinking like yeah, like I don't think this is like the best way to argue for a god,
Mhm.
like coincidences, but
Yeah.
I was thinking also when you were talking to that Gus about like pressing the cancel button.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, do you think that it's necessarily true that that we know God isn't like pressing the hypothetical button because cancer does exist? Do you think that like that in of itself defeats the concept of an all good, all knowing God in of itself?
I think that it massively reduces the probability. So I'd like to think that I have like a really high I think that the probability that curing all cancer right now, instantly, forever is a good thing. I think that it's just really likely that it would be a good thing to do. So that likelihood weighs against the likelihood that God exists. Because,
Mhm.
you know, if I think that one of the things that you're probably committed to if you think that God exists is that in reality there just is really good reason to not cure cancer right now. Otherwise God just would have done it.
So you're like, yeah, you don't think there's enough like evidence to God to point you to the belief that like maybe there's like a reason that we're not seeing as to why like all cancer isn't eradicated on Earth? Like, do you think that? Sorry, God.
I was just gonna say, how to break this down. So these beliefs are like incompatible. The belief that the right thing to do would be to cure cancer right now is incompatible with the view that God, an all good being, exists and isn't curing cancer right now.
Mhm.
So however likely it is that curing cancer right now would be a really good thing to do, trades off with the likelihood that God exists. And I just think that we have really good evidence to think that curing cancer would be the good thing to do. Like, I think that everything we know about morality, basically, like, if that wouldn't be the good thing to do, then I would just assume that we know nothing about morality, that like moral intuitions aren't worth anything, like we're worth like literal zero. You know, like all of our moral knowledge is worth nothing, that like we clearly don't have like intrinsic value. Otherwise, like there would surely be, I don't know, like you just need something that outweighs like literally like the intrinsic value of like all these people that die of cancer, like living and surviving and like living a full life. And you know, the value of like them not like suffering horrifically. Like there's just so many valuable things that are present in curing cancer that I just think we have really good reason to think that cancer, like getting rid of cancer, would be like a good thing to do.
Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah. Damn it! I just had another thing I wanted to ask you. What was it? Oh, I was gonna ask. I don't know if this sounds like nonsensical to you as well, or like weird, I guess.
Yeah.
But have you ever considered like you choosing like for example, like in Islam, you have to pray 5 times a day, or else you're not Muslim, and that's like if you do like just the core tenets of the religion, that's like a bare minimum for you to be considered like a participant of the religion.
Mhm.
Have you ever considered like just in case there is a God, you like do the bare minimum acts, like just because like I get you're super convinced in like atheism, but do you ever like worry that like you'll be sent to like hellfire if like you don't ascribe to a certain religion, and you should just like pick something and just do it just in case? I guess I don't know if that sounds weird.
No, I that makes sense, right? Like I know, like I totally get what you're saying, that it's like the Pascal's wager, that you have nothing to lose by believing in it, or you like very little to lose, but you have like infinity to lose if you don't believe in it and you're wrong. I think I don't evaluate the likelihood of any God as 0. I definitely evaluate like the God that's all just and will torture you forever for not believing in him as like a 0 probability of existing God. I just think that I think this is the sort of God that couldn't possibly exist, because an all good, all just God wouldn't possibly torture you forever. There's like kind of like a ton of arguments that would establish that, like just like basic beliefs about the nature of justice, like something as simple as like a just, like I don't know, like a just punishment is proportionate to the crime. That, you know, if you commit a crime, the punishment that you receive for that shouldn't be infinitely disproportionate than the crime itself. Like that commits you to the view that hell is unjust. So it just seems like you would have to reject, like, I don't know, what feels like tautologies about justice, just like basic, like trivial statements about it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I don't. That's always been like a little bit of a gripe I had as well. I never like fully understood it. I guess another thing that I also never fully understood was like God making someone and like knowing they're gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Well, yeah, like I don't know, imagine that you have like infinite love for the child that you're about to create, but you know that if you create them, they're going to, I don't know, have like a life of like abject misery and like torment, and that in fact like they'll be immortal in their abject misery and torment. I'm simply just not going to have that child, frankly, even if they don't live forever, even if it's like 80 years of like excruciating agony. Like I just wouldn't have that child. I'm just not going to have him.
Do you think God making someone and knowing that like they're gonna go to hell at the end of their life or go to heaven at the end of their life is stripping them from their free will and in their earthly life, or do you think that's
Not
like
necessarily.
Yeah.
I think that you can foresee, I think God could presumably foresee like what they're going to do, and then he can just like create them if he knows that they will go to heaven, if they'll just like freely choose through their own free actions. Like he sees exactly what they are going to choose with their free will, and he foresees that they're going to just choose the good things. I think that that's compatible, right? Like you have beings that choose at least like not enough bad things to go to hell, and then, you know, they go to heaven.
So you don't think like free will is like a big problem in religion? Like you think that's like not really a big like, I guess, thing you have a major problem with? It's like that's fine, I guess.
Sort of, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. Even with what I just said, I think there are like technically problems with it. Like for example, usually you want to say that God is like 100% totally independent, that God depends on nothing. But in order for God's foreknowledge to not take away free will from us, it needs to be the case that what God knows depends on our actions. That there's like a relation. Like God knows that we're going to do the thing, and necessarily we do the thing. But I think that in order to maintain free will, what you want to say is that God knows you're going to do it because you do it. That the fact that you take that action determines the fact that God knows that you're going to. But that's a dependence relation. God's knowledge depends on you. So
Oh,
it
I
just
see.
seems like God isn't fully independent.
Because
If
if
that's true.
because if God's foreknowledge didn't depend on your action that you took, then that would strip your free will because your action depended on something else. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
your action would depend on God's foreknowledge at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's all I had, really. I don't know. I just thanks for bringing me up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it was a wonderful conversation. Thanks so much for coming up. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
That dude was super nice. Yeah. Gosh, no, I know I'm evil, but I don't know. The reason why I didn't bring up M's is because the conversation was like super friendly, and there's I definitely bring up M's when I feel like they're being like a horrendous faith scumbag, but I don't know. I didn't want to bring him up. I didn't want him to bring like the flamethrower to the conversation, you know. But I do still love and appreciate M's regardless. Thanks so much, thanks so much, Poopman Jones. Appreciate it. Let's read some supers. Oh, what? Okay. Grimmy, thanks so much for the super chat. If God wants to be understood and acknowledged, maybe he should vacate the cuck chair and participate. Well, it just seems like this all-powerful being. I don't know. We talk a lot about like goals and how your goals give you reasons to do specific things. God has this goal. He wants a relationship with all of us. Something that's necessary to achieve this goal is that we all form a belief in him. And what's necessary for us to form a belief in him is personal experience. Like, I don't know, if God just comes and reveals himself to us, that would be fucking crazy good. That would be insane evidence. Yeah, like if God popped on down and revealed himself, that would be pretty cool. But it just seems like he has a reason to do that, and then he doesn't. Draconic Drizzt, thanks so much for the super chat. God's parenting is very abusive, gone from helicopter and control freak, playing favorites, to deadbeat dad owing child support. Yeah, exactly right. Like he's nowhere to be found nowadays. But he was like all over the Old Testament. I don't know. Philodragon, thanks so much for the super chat. Thank you so much, Ian, for everything you do. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much, Philodragon. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much. All right. I just dropped a new video. It's a God debate. Oh, it's this guy again. My goat. Wait, let me
So you're claiming that entropy reversals occur during each cycle?
That's what it says in the conclusion.
So you're saying that's consistent with Hawking's proposal linking the thermodynamic and cosmological arrows of time.
Yeah, that's what it says in the introduction.
No, the second law of thermodynamics is one of the most well-established laws in physics, a model that claimed entropy resets.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Yo.
Yeah, how old? Yeah, it's when like the the 18-year-old like brainlet came on to argue with Dr. Blitz about Dr. Blitz's physics paper that he wrote and got published. Man, dude, yeah, bring me the experts in the field so I can disagree with them about these like topics. He didn't even know how to pronounce the word scalar too, which is like, listen, you know, I don't think like knowledge gapping people is like, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, if you don't even know how to pronounce the word scalar because you don't know what it means, you don't know what it refers to, you just have no business arguing with like a PhD physicist about their PhD physics. Like, what are we doing? It's like, I don't know. It's like if you got like a 6-year-old to try to argue with like the fucking like doctor about what would be good for him, like whether or not he should be eating like ice cream all day. And the doctor is trying to break down like these basic concepts to him. And he's like, no. I don't know. It's a great debate. Also, it's 2 days. It's 2 debate days combined into one because he gets thwomped on the first day, and then he comes back, and then Dr. Blitz fucking beats the fuck out of him. It was devastating. Anyway, I just dropped it. If you want to join the book club, if you want to get started with morality, objective morals, we're doing a reading group. We're reading Rosalind Hurst-House's On Virtue Ethics, the chapter about resolvable dilemmas. It's the 3rd chapter, or maybe the 2nd one, depending on how you count, but it's the chapter on resolvable dilemmas. It's this Saturday, 8 p.m. EST. It's this Saturday. We're not doing it every other Saturday this time around. It's this Saturday because 2 Saturdays is the 4th of July, and that's problematic. Anyway, if you want to see Dr. Blitz fucking thwomp on some dumb fuck, it's on my YouTube channel. It's titled "This Guest is Right and Dr. Blitz is Wrong Twice." Based. All right. Other than that, hey, if I didn't get to you, we keep all of your names. We're gonna keep you in the queue. I'm sorry, I am leaving. I do have to go make dinner. I love all of you. I'll see you all later. If I didn't get to you, your name is in the queue. You will have your spot tomorrow if you want to come back tomorrow. All right. I love all of you. I'll see you all later. See you all later.